Get ready for a powerhouse of inspiration. Principal Baruti Kafele. A highly regarded educator and a transformational leader, Principal Kafele has spent over 20 years in New Jersey's urban schools, making a lasting impact as both a master teacher and a turnaround principal. Under his leadership, the mighty Newark Tech transformed from a low-performing school to one of America's best, as recognized by U.S. News and World Report 3 times. A recipient of the prestigious Milken Educator Award, Principal Kafele is one of the most sought-after voices in school leadership and equity. He's delivered over 3,000 keynotes, workshops, and seminars across the nation, authored 13 books, including 7 ASCD bestsellers, and continues to empower leaders through his live-streamed AP and New Principals Academy. Please join us in welcoming the extraordinary Principal Baruti Kafele.
And we are live. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to week 276 consecutively of the AP and New Principals Academy. Let me see who we got checking in this morning. We got up first, Yolanda McKinney down in Texas. We got Nadira Coley is in Brick City, Newark, New Jersey. We got Dr. Rachel Edo Eckett in Maryland. We got Michael Benton, Cincinnati, Rodney Richardson, Hampton, Virginia. Robin Snowden, Harambe, she's in Fresno, California. We got Nolene Martin checking in. We got Elisa Rivera, Rhode Island. My man, Ricardo Yanis, checking in from Houston, Texas. Grace Castaneda she's in Texas this morning. We got Takesha High, Virginia. Dr. Sonia Matthew in the building. She'll be on with us for a second round soon. Stay tuned. She's down in Maryland. Ronald Pugh, Cedar Hill. Shanae Joy Moore is in Charlotte, North Carolina. We got Marsha Poe all the way out on the West Coast, San Diego, California. She'll be on pretty soon, too. Leslie Akintunde is in Sterling, Virginia. Peter Finch, out west, Washington State. Yakima, Washington State. Good to see you, Superintendent Dr. Finch. We got Lysandra Brackens, North Carolina. Where we at? Vanessa Zeskin, out in Connecticut. Tony McClenny, Battle Creek, Michigan. I was just in the presence of Tony the other day. I think that was Thursday. Yeah, we were in Battle Creek all day long. Had a great day, phenomenal day. Under the leadership of Dr. Kim Carter. AP Patrick Lawrence, Connecticut. Stacy Joseph, Houston, Texas. Dot McKeever Jeter, Calumet City, Illinois. That's retired Principal Dot McKeever Jeter. We got Ivy Teacher, North Louisiana. Stacy Joy, West Coast, Los Angeles. Chancellor Davis, out west, Las Vegas, Nevada. Y'all Westerners, you know I appreciate you getting up early, 7:55 your time, and seeing it not robbery to come and join us on a Saturday morning. Where we at? We got Dr. Roz Gaskins. I saw her this week. We'll get into that in a little while, but I got to be in her company. But while I got her up here, let's say this, though. I probably said this before, but ain't nothing wrong with saying things twice sometimes. Congratulations to fam member Dr. Roz Gaskins. She's now a first-year principal. I had the opportunity to be in her presence along with her district, but we'll get into that in a little while. But again, congratulations, Roz. First year. So 10 years from now, that time goes like this. You'd be like, I'm going into my 11th year already. Good stuff. We got Sean Hurt, Detroit, Michigan. And by the way, speaking of Sean, powerful show this morning. Powerful. You call it a show, Sean? What you call it, man? I call mine an academy, right? But powerful session. And hey, folks, the Fantastic Four. Want to make sure that I tell all my audiences, it's not just my platform at 10:55. We start off at 10 Eastern with Sean Hurt, school turnaround principal. And then at 10:30, Create and Educate with Dr. Sheikah Houston, Dr. Tammy Taylor. And then 10:55, the AP and New Principals Academy. But then we spill it over into Sunday with Josh Tovar. I should say my man, Josh Tovar, Dr. Marty Medano, with the PGP podcast at 5 o'clock Eastern. And there he is, Josh Tovar. Buenos dias. Appreciate you. Back at you. So make sure you tune in, y'all. All 4 platforms. I mean, you know, when you talk about it combined, what's that? That's about 4 hours of free PD, where we're talking about 4, whatever number of us it is altogether in terms of the people. I guess it's 2, 4, 6 of us. Man, we're all friends, right? We're not just happen to succeed one another. We all friends. We're friends with colleagues. Check us all out, right? Let's go. John Herricks, I see you in Denton, Texas. Kendrick Claxton, I got to see Kendrick in Kansas City this week, man. Good to see you. Good to be in your presence. Good to be with all them educators out there, man. That's my man. That's one of them young brothers on the come up, man. He's AP now, be principal, but he's also an orator, so he's a speaker. So keep your eye on Kendrick Claxton, right? Don't forget that name, right? What we got? We got Melissa Jones Chunu. Stop the presses, y'all. Just stop. Everything comes to a halt right now after I say Melissa Jones Chunu, right? Just stop what you're doing, right? Listen, we got a new doctor in America, but we also have a new doctor on the AP in New Principals Academy, right? She sent the video out, or one of her homies sent the video out, and she was named Dr. Melissa Jones Chunu. Right. So, you know, it's a big deal to me, you know, because I'm never going to have one. I don't think. I flirted with it a few months ago and I said, what's wrong with you, man? So I put it down. I had the application. I was applying all that stuff. Right. So anyway, but Melissa's been working for a long time. And it's just a joy when you see your fam. You know, everybody that comes on this platform is fam. And when you see your fam, and she's been a guest on here, gonna be another one too. And to see them, you know, just cross that threshold and become doctor after all that toil, you know, all that work. So congratulations, Dr. Jones Chunu. And y'all give her some love in these in the thread, please. Give her some love. She worked hard, right? Give her some love. Give her some congratulations. She's been rocking with us from the very beginning. Meaning, you know, we're in year 6 now, this platform. She's been rocking with us for the 5 years plus, right? So give us some love. Good job, Dr. Jones Chunu. And right after you on my thread is Cabria Jesse, right? Meaning Cabria Kafele. That's the youngin' in the family. My youngest, that's my daughter, 26, living in Charlotte. She said hi, right? So hi back at you. Right. So Cabri is in the building. Give her some love too, man. I went to see it recently. Dog was tearing me up, man. That's Ace. Ace was in the building. Right. Let's go, y'all. Josh Tovar said you. Sheikah, I see Dr. Sheikah Houston in the building. Dot McKeever. Okay, I got y'all. My daughter said, did you start yet? What does that mean? Right? I've been on since 10:55, right? So all right, y'all, it's a lot of names on here. Let me just go down there. I see y'all congratulating Dr. Jones Chunu. Just keep doing that. And let me formally greet everybody now by saying good morning. Greetings. Welcome to week 276. What's that word? Consecutively. Oh, man. Of the AP and New Principals Academy. Hey, man, I'm feeling good. I ain't ask you how you feeling. Evokes different emotions. I'm feeling good. My body is tired. I'm going to tell you that. If you've been keeping up with me on social media, I have the right to be tired, right? Some of y'all be like trying to lecture me on some of those posts, man. Like, you need to slow down. You need to take a train. Man, when I see people telling me about a train, I said, they do not know what I do. It ain't like you could just jump on a train and it's going to take you to where you going, man. It don't work that way, right? So, you know, they'll say, get a driver. I don't want to pay $1,000 to go to do 4 miles, right? So, you know, we just get the coffee. Then my eyes are like this, right? And we make it happen, right? But anyway, hey, y'all, real quick. because I want to jump into my monologue, and then I got the special guest today. Tulare City Schools in Tulare, California. Shout out to you, man. That was Monday, man. We had a good time. I had to drive. My flight was canceled at 11:30 p.m. in LAX, so a long flight from North to LA. Then I'm waiting to fly to Fresno, and then a quick drive to Tulare. 11:30, they say, your flight's canceled. Canceled. So now I got to pray that I can get a rental, which I did. Made the 4-hour drive to Larry, slept for 2 hours maybe, and did that keynote, that convocation keynote, man. So shout out to them. Then went on and flew to Kansas City Public Schools, Kansas City, Missouri. And what a time, man. That was all the teachers, man. Tulare was all the teachers as well. All the teachers, but I had to do 2 keynotes, the secondary in the morning, the elementary in the afternoon. Let me tell y'all something, especially those of you who speak or aspire to speak. It's the most difficult thing, the most difficult aspect of my work. I mean, numero uno is to do a keynote in the morning and then follow up and do a second keynote on the same day. That is brutal, because in that first keynote, you gave it everything you got. And now you got to recreate that with a different audience. And I could tell you something. Like that second one, that's like the B side. Remember back when we had records? Some of y'all young heads, you won't understand this, but the rest of y'all, when we had records that you went to the record store and buy, and so you had the main song on the A side, then you had the other song on the B side. Well, that second keynote is always B side stuff, man. I just don't have what I had in the A, right? So but it is what it is. Shout out to Kansas City Public Schools. And then Wednesday, that was the day. I got to tell y'all about this. Prince George's County Public Schools in Maryland. I got to tell y'all this, man. I got to tell you. Somebody read my bio. I didn't know the gentleman, but he read my bio. I walked on that stage and something happened I ain't never experienced in my life and probably will never experience again in life. I walked on that stage and got a standing ovation, and I hadn't uttered a word. That was absolutely incredible, right? I thought I was going to cry, but I said, fight. My mind said, as I'm looking at people cheering for me, and I hadn't even given my speech yet, I said, fight, fight, fight. Don't tear up right now, right? So I fought. And I was good, man. But I mean, let me just say this, y'all, and then I'm gonna keep moving. To be on a stage, man, of administrators, 700 administrators. This is a big district. Over 130,000 students, over 200 schools, 700 administrators, and to walk in there, you walk on the stage getting ready to do your intro, and the people start standing and give you a standing ovation. Woo! Woo! That's different, baby. So, when people ask me what's people ask these questions, like, what's your most powerful moment? And I thought I was gonna go through life speaking on that MGM Grand stage in Las Vegas, because MGM Grand, like when you think about all the hotels on the Vegas Strip, MGM Grand is not the most expensive of all those hotels, but it is the one that epitomizes the Strip, because that greenish color that it's in and lit up and all that kind of stuff. So I thought I was going to go through the rest of my life saying, well, when I keynoted at the MGM Grand, Sade sang in there, Luther sang in there, all that kind of stuff, right? But when I walked into that hotel and walked on that stage and them people gave me an ovation before I spoke, that supersedes the MGM Grand. It supersedes it. Shout out to Prince George County Public Schools, man. You made a brother feel special. You made a brother feel welcome. You made a brother feel like he belonged. I appreciate that. I appreciate it. Let's go. Shout out to Battle Creek Public Schools in Battle Creek, Michigan. Administrators all day long, man. We had a great day. We had a small group too, right? Not 700, right? Small group. It might have been about 20 of us in there, something like that. We had a great, phenomenal day, man. I loved it. Great day. And then I rounded up the week in Fort Myers, Florida. Another one of them long drives I might add too. But Fort Myers, Franklin Park Elementary School, they're part of Lee County. It's a three school community partnership within Lee County. And I was with the three schools in this one building, Franklin Park Elementary, brand new, spanking brand new school under the leadership. Before I even say the leadership, just this brand new, just phenomenal, right? And the room I spoke in, man, just everything was beautiful. But the particular school, because I don't have the names of the other two principals on the top of my head, but the particular school, Dr. Mia German, man, we had a great time, and she's a great principal, and she's doing big things, right? So keep your eye on Dr. Mia German as well, and the rest of the three schools in Lee County that I'm referring to. These are the lower performing schools, and they're getting ready, as we talked about yesterday, they're getting ready to achieve the impossible. They're gonna shock the world and show the world what their students are capable of achieving under their staff, right? So shout out to any of them that are on the call. Enough of these shout outs, y'all. Let's go. Welcome to the first timers. If there's any, if there is in fact any first timers on here, which I have to assume there are, every week there is, you've missed 275 sessions. So what I encourage you to do, go to the YouTube channel, AP in New Principals Academy. One more time, AP in New Principals Academy. Go there, hit the subscribe button. Once again, hit the subscribe button. Then hit the notification bell once you hit the subscribe button, which lets you know when I'm live. I only go live on that platform on Saturday mornings at 10:55 Eastern time. But you may have forgotten, so therefore you can hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and that's what allows the platform to continue to grow, right? And while you're on right now in real time, hit that like button for me. All the platforms we're on, LinkedIn, Twitter, or X, Facebook, and AP and New Principals Academy. Do me a favor, hit the like button for me. That's what activates the algorithms, right? That's what moves, that's what drives the algorithm. So please, 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 as James Brown said, please, 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 please hit that like button, right? And that keeps us moving. I see you, Dr. German. She is here in the building from Fort Myers, Florida. She said, thanks for the love. That's right. Yes, we are going to shock the world. And she said, you were fire, man. I brought them flames, man. You know, I'm like I know people like, he said he didn't get no sleep. It don't look like it. Nah, man. Once I'm in front of the folks, man, we could hide that sleepiness right till later, right? Yeah. You know, somebody said, yeah, PK feeling good this morning. That's right. Please. That's what James Brown said, baby, right? But James Brown was talking about something else. I'm just asking you to please hit the like button, right? Hit the share button, hit the repost button, hit the retweet button, hit the text button on your phone, call somebody, hit them Facebook leadership groups, let them know we here. Because I got Principal L in the bill. He probably sitting there talking about when this dude gonna finish, man. I got a lot to say, right? So hey, y'all, listen. Let me get to my monologue, y'all. Oh, wait. We ain't talking about this. we ain't talking about this, baby. I walked in that Prince George's County, Maryland, to the hotel. The hotel was called The Hotel. That's the name of the hotel, The Hotel, right? I saw 700 of these, y'all. Hey, God, keep on blessing me. I saw 700 of these on the tables. They all got a copy. All of them. What is my value instructionally to the teachers I supervise? But that ain't the only place I've seen all these books. Everywhere I go where it's leadership, I see them, right? So get yourself a copy if you don't have it. Go to Amazon right now. Hit that tab and open up another tab on your Chrome and get this. It's an important book. It's where the rubber meets the road. What is my value instructionally to the teachers I supervise? Marietta Williams said, I got mine. So make sure you get yourself a copy, right? Hey, y'all, let me do my monologue right quick. It's called Relationships. But what about the administrator? Let me get that to you again. The monologue today. Relationships. relationships, but what about administration? What you saying, Kafele? I'm glad you asked, man. Listen, y'all, I'm gonna keep it short. You say that every week, Kafele, and they've been going 15 minutes lately. No, I'm gonna keep it short. Listen, we talk about relationships all the time, right? It's cliche. If some speaker comes to your school, you can bet the house they're going to talk about relationships. Relationships matter. That's what they're going to say. You can't achieve at high levels if relationships are not in existence, if they're not at the core. We know that. I'm not making light of it, right? It matters. I'm one of those speakers that could spend an hour just talking about relationships, the quality of the relationships. It matters. But I'm in a different space with this monologue this morning. See, I said relationships, but what about administration? Here's what I mean. See, when we talk of relationships, we're typically, I don't want to paint with too broad of a brush, but we're typically talking about teacher-student relationships. But let me throw this in here too, as we're starting a new school year. I'm going to start here. Administration, teacher relationships. How solid are they in your building? Right? Let me get my mirror. I ain't clean it, Josh, so don't even tell me. How solid are they in your building? Administration, teacher relationships. They matter. Because when there's a wall separating administration from teachers, then we know that school is not going to be performing at optimal levels. We know that. So what about those relationships? But I got another one for you. The principal, assistant principal relationships. I've seen enough of those to say those can be quite toxic. They can be quite destructive. They can be quite counterproductive. That principal, assistant principal relationship must be solid, with that principal having the backs of the assistant principal that I got you, and I'm going to make sure that you are well-rounded in this thing called leadership. But then there's some other relationships. That principal, I'm gonna refer to this as administration from here on, as opposed to principal AP. So that administration, students relationship. When you walk around your building, are there any students that you, yes, recognize because they're in your school, but no, I don't know you? That's a problem. See, because you recognize them or recognize her, and you could say, good morning, sir. Good morning, young lady, right? That type of thing. But can you say good morning, Jalil? Can you say good morning, Jamila? Or is it you have to stop at sir and ma'am? See, I'm saying to you, you got to know your students, but it doesn't stop at their name. Relationships. But what about administration? It doesn't stop at their name. Do you know their story? Like, is there a relationship between you, administrator, and the students in your building? That matters. But there's another relationship I got for you. See, that what I just articulated is between administration and individual students. But I got to ask you something. What about your relationship with the student body? See, I'm not talking about individual students now. I'm talking about, is there a relationship when you think about the collective of your student body? Is there a bond there between administration, between principal, between assistant principal? Is there a bond there between administration, the student body? We are one, as Frankie Beverly would say. We are one. Is that relationship there? But it doesn't stop there. Let's go back to that title: relationships. But what about administration? So I asked you just now, is there a relationship between administration and the student body? Now watch this. Let me just focus on one level between elementary, middle, and high school, so that I'm not all over the map. Let's go to middle, since that's the smallest. So is there a relationship between administration and the 6th grade? Is there a relationship between administration and the sixth grade, meaning you have spoken to them in isolation multiple times from the rest of the student body. So whatever number of times that you speak to your school throughout the year, and I know some of us don't even do that, but me, I did it not less than 10 times a year. So once a month, it's me and the entire building. But then I know that 6th, 7th, and 8th grade are three different entities, three different people, three different outlooks, three different worldviews. So I got to talk to the grade level separately. So I have to forge relationship, not with the individual students in this regard, but with an entire grade level. There's got to be a bond there. There's got to be a relationship there. But then I got a 7th grade who's very much unlike my 6th grade and very much unlike my 8th grade. I've got to bond with that grade level. So is there a relationship between the administration and the 7th grade? But guess what? Then there's another group that's getting ready to graduate, but they're also the leaders of the building, the 8th grade. Do we have a bond so that I can utilize them in ways that are non-traditional, such as holding them accountable for being responsible for the incoming 6th graders? See, but if I don't have that bond, that relationship with them, I may not be able to groom them into being those leaders in the building, that are those other eyes in the building, that they're those co-principals in the building who are also monitoring the 6th graders. And just think about what that does for the culture of the building. So when you have bonded with a grade level, not just I know the 8th grade, not just I see you when I see you, but the intentionality of I need to have separate meetings with my 8th grade. So let me tell you how I did this, and then I'm gonna step off. I met with my entire school every first day of the month, whether that was middle school or high school. Every first day of the month, you mine, right? But that was a whole school meeting. It typically was an hour long. I got a lot to say because I want to let them know where we are, what I saw in the previous month, and what my expectations are moving forward into the next month, right? But then once I ended the meeting, I said, 9th grade, I'll go to high school now. I said, 9th grade, you stay. That's another hour meeting. I got to talk to my freshmen because a freshman conversation is not a senior conversation. They're not in the same space. They're not even in the same world. So I want to have a relationship with my freshmen. And then I dismiss them. Guess who's coming back down? The sophomores. Now I'm going to have a meeting with them. And then once that hour's up, they're leaving. Guess who's coming down? Maybe after the lunch period, depending on time, the junior class. Now we going to talk. I'm bonding with the entire grade level. See, it's not just the individuals. Then once I dismiss them, guess who's coming down? Yeah, you guessed it, the senior class. Do you think my meeting with my seniors sounds like my meeting with my sophomores? Do you think my meeting with my juniors sounds like my meeting with my freshmen? No. Those are 4 different topics of discussion. But the point of the monologue is I'm bonding with grade levels, not just individual students, not just teachers, etc., etc., etc. Now I got 2 more groups to give you, then I'm done. We say relationships, relationships, relationships. But what about administration? There are parents that send their children to school. What is my relationship with them? See, we always talk about the teacher bonding with the parents. I need to bond with the parents too. We as leaders need to bond with the parents too. That's what we're doing, right? So that's one. But then there's a second one, the community. You can't do this at them high levels and you are isolated from the community upon which your school is situated. That community is important, right? That community is important. So make sure that when you say relationships, 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 do not confine that to teacher-student relationships. Hold up your mirror and look at yourself and ask yourself, what about me with the individual students? What about me with the entire student body? What about me with each grade level? What about me with the parents? What about me with the community? All that matters. Those are relationships, right? And when those relationships are missing with administration because you're so focused on teacher-student relationships, you're missing a large chunk of people who must also be in positive, strong, productive relationships. Enough said, y'all. I got the big time guest in the building, so let me get my screen right. Let me get my background right, because we getting ready to bring them on up here. And here we go. Here we go. We got, that's not the right screen. What am I doing? There, no, that ain't it either. Here we go. Here we go. Yes, sir. I'm almost there. My screen ain't what I want it to be, but we going to get it. Anyway, here we go. There it is. There it is. Yes, sir. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, my brother. How are you?
Oh, man, I'm on fire, man. I'm on fire. My body's tired, but my mind don't know it, you know. So, yeah. So
I hear you, brother. You've been through a lot this week, this summer, you know.
I've been through hell this week, but you know, but when 700 people stand up and cheer for you and you ain't open up your mouth yet, you don't remember that you're tired anymore.
You go from tired to inspired, right?
This guy always got a rhyme for something, man. Why didn't I think of that one?
you know I'm a wannabe rapper. You told me that years ago. Like, man, you think KRS-One? No.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. And in PG County, man, you know, we got a lot of history there in PG County, man. That's a very old, strong Black community economically. It's huge, you know, brother. Dr. Joseph down there. Moving things, making things.
Oh man, he is.
That's amazing, man. And also, you in Lee County, I heard you mention. Now, you know, that's Thomas Edison's home, and I believe he had a home up there near where you are in Jersey as well.
Oh,
so,
really?
you made some.
I didn't know about Lee County.
Yeah. I think that might be his original home. Is in Fort Myers. You know what I mean?
That's where I was.
Fort Myers, man. Yeah.
Wow.
That's standing ovation, you know. And I often say to people that we got to give folks their flowers before their retirement, before their eulogy. You know what I mean? And so that day, they were giving you your flowers, brother. They were giving that's what it is. Before you speak a word, let me applaud what you've already done and said, because we know it. And everywhere I go, and folks that are on here will tell you in the chat, because I did it yesterday in Minnesota. I asked all the APs to stand up. I was in Arizona this week. I was in California. It doesn't matter. I asked the APs to stand up, and I say, let's recognize them, because I'm only here in front of you today because my APs are running my school in my absence. Those APs, they keep the show running. They just don't handle discipline. They just don't handle attendance. That they are the soldiers in that school pushing us. So I'm glad you talked about that relationship between principal and assistant principal, because a good leader is an excellent follower. So when you got an AP that has your back, you gotta have their back. And they gave them a standing ovation yesterday in Minnesota, man. And I was just so proud of the work. I tell people my APs are my backup. When you act up, you see my backup. Here's another rhyme for you.
Another rhyme. So hey, listen to the fam out there. I'm gonna read. Doc. I don't know what I'm gonna call you today. You got so many names, but I'm gonna read your bio in a second. But for those of you in the fam right now who were on with me toward the end of last week's session, like right at the end when I said that Salome was coming on, Dr. L. Y'all remember what I said, right? I said, I'm going to sit back like this and let him just do his thing, right?
No, they here to hear from you, brother. I'm just to catch up in the mustard on the cheesesteak. That's all.
Hey, for those out there that don't know, Dr. Salome Thomas L., that means you've been under a rock for a little while, but he sent me the short bio because he has a very long one. He sent me the short one. Let me share this with you. Dr. Salome Thomas L., known as Principal L., lives in Pennsylvania with his family and has been a teacher and principal since 1987. He is currently a K-8 principal in Wilmington, Delaware, and received national acclaim as a teacher and chess coach at Vox. It is Vox, right? I ask you that every time.
Got it. You got it.
Middle school in Philadelphia, where his students have gone on to win world recognition as 8-time national chess champions. Principal L is the author of the best-selling books I Choose to Stay, movie rights optioned by Disney Films, and the Immortality of Influence, which stresses the importance of leadership, mentoring, parenting, and service to others. He is also the co-author of 3 books on leadership and teacher retention. Dr. L's newest book, Meet Their Needs and They'll Succeed, and by the way, is sitting right here, right? We'll talk about this a lot today. Was released in April of 2025. He speaks to groups around the country and appeared on C-SPAN, CNN, NPR Radio. Principal L has studied school leadership abroad in England and at Lehigh University in Pennsylvania. He holds a doctorate in education leadership from Wilmington University in Delaware. He has received the Marcus A. Foster Award. And those of you that don't know that name, Marcus A. Foster, Google that later on. Award as the Outstanding School District Administrator in Philadelphia and the University of Pennsylvania's Distinguished Martin Luther King Award. Reader's Digest magazine recognized Principal L as an inspiring American icon. Let me say that again. Reader's Digest magazine recognized Principal L as an inspiring American icon. Dr. L was featured on Good Morning America and appeared on Oprah Radio Network. And that's just a fraction of his bio, right? There's a lot there. You know, we're going to jump into it. To the fam out there, once again, hit the share button, hit the retweet, the repost, tag somebody, text somebody, call somebody, hit the like button, let them know we are here, we are live, and we're going to be on here for a while. So get your popcorn, and we're going to try to put in at least 2 hours, right? So here we go. You've been in education for 38 years. And the bulk of those years was in principal leadership.
Yes, sir.
That's more than most. And my question is probably the obvious one as it relates to you. What keeps you coming back each year? And to use your language, why do you choose to stay?
Yeah, using my language on me, huh?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's a powerful question. And number one, what I want to point out as well is that when you read that,
look who joined us.
Who's that?
You don't see it?
Oh, yeah, I see Jimmy. I see
Jimmy Casas in the building.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
When you read my bio, you said I've been teaching since 1987. I was thinking about how we both started in this work around the same time. Started teaching, started the principalship, and I say this to people often, and both born in October. You know what I mean? I said
a day apart from each other.
A day apart. You know what I mean? I said, this is my brother for, for sure, man. But I'm going to tell you what keeps me coming back is really those leaders that come behind us, that come out of our tree. All those people. And here's the thing. We're at the age now where we not only see the leaders we help develop, we see students who were students in our schools who are now out teaching, because you talk about it, you go places and they're administrators, they're leaders in school and saying, I'm glad you were really the person you say you are and the person you're on stage talking about, because I witnessed it, as a student. And I think what else also for me is, and I heard a young lady say this, I spoke at a conference in St. Paul, Minnesota yesterday, Voices That Lead. And there was a conference really about amplifying the voices of leaders of color, indigenous people, Latino, Black, just people of all backgrounds of color who are impacting lives as leaders. And one young lady stood up in this session, and she said, I choose to stay because when I was coming through, I didn't see many like me. And she said, I'll be damned if another kid ever feels like that under my leadership. You know, they're going to feel like they belong. They're going to have that relationship that you talked about earlier. That's important. And I just want to highlight, you know, Brother Ashley Farrington, who's the new president of MESPA. That's the elementary principals in Minnesota, you know, and Dr. Cooper out there. These are two brothers under the leadership of Michelle Krell and Bob Driver on MESPA and MASSP. Put this all together to bring all these leaders together, but they had teachers and aspiring leaders there, assistant principals, and allies were there, all talking about how can we amplify the voices of Black and brown leaders, because, you know, as we all know, over 50% of student populations in public schools are students of color, and in some districts, that number is 80 and 90% or higher, but yet we're 20% or less. Some states have fewer than 4 or 5% of teachers or administrators of color. The importance of walking into that building. The principal's a hard job. The assistant principals, it's a tough job, but it's a job where you walk in and everybody wants to know, do you have the answer? Do you, you know, researchers say that the principal, assistant principal walk into a school on a daily basis, on average, they get asked 75 times a day, do you have a minute? You know, and my secretary said, I'm good for 25 of those right there, you know, but you are important. They need you. And I think that's what keeps me going. The complaints are hard. It's a struggle. But now, and I tell people, you can't grow and complain at the same time. Yeah. So we got to pick one or the other. Let's find a solution. Let's not admire the problem. Let's find a solution for those complaints. But to be honest with you, brother, if they didn't complain, if the parents didn't come in and argue and fight and fuss, you know, I don't think I would think something was wrong, because they wouldn't need me. And so that's what really keeps me coming back, is being able to help people get through those struggles and then come back and say, because of you, I made it. Because of you, I am where I am. Because of you, I'm a teacher. Because of you, I'm an assistant principal. I'm a leader. Because of you, I'm choosing impact over compliance. And I think that's really what the equity-focused educator, the culturally responsive educator, is the one who wants to know about their assistant principals. And you mentioned this earlier. You said a lot, you know, in your opening, brother. I mean, when you're a principal, somebody should be able to come to you and ask you about the people on your leadership team, and you should be able to describe their team, their personalities, what their families, what they do outside of school. Because when they know that relationship is that strong, that they can trust you, they'll knock down the wall for you, you know, and with you, my brother.
That's powerful stuff. You know, I'm at a point now, at least for right now in real time, that I have to put my script to the side, because I want to stay with this for a minute. You know, you and I, we're post Brown versus Board of Education.
Yes, sir.
But the two of us came in the tradition of pre-Brown versus Board of Education, right? So meaning that those teachers during that era, before Brown, were clear on their role, right? This, you know, obviously a lot of Black folks, those were one of the few professions that we could go into, but I want to put that to the side for a minute. While we were in there, we understood our role and responsibility. Yes. Mm-hmm. We're at an age now where there's a lot of us, whether it be teachers and I'm talking about Black teachers now, mm-hmm. who either don't know the history, haven't been exposed to the history, and therefore are oblivious to that struggle that was waged in order for them to be there where they are now. So therefore, it becomes difficult to bring in that consciousness mm-hmm. to a youngster, to ensure that youngster is getting far beyond math, science, language arts, and social studies. That consciousness, in my mind, in my estimation, was key. It kept me in trouble, but I was good with good trouble. So my question to you: how do we bring the consciousness to the teacher so that the teacher understands that it's not just job, it's struggle? Yeah. Right? It's the liberation struggle, but it's happening in the classroom.
Right. And the thing is, what I want to be clear with and on for folks is that there was no shortage of black teachers before Brown.
Right. No shortage.
There were thousands and thousands who lost their jobs after that. I mean, it was a profession that, like you said, it was one of the few we could choose, but they made that choice. We had black and brown teachers then. It was our nation that decided that we don't need you anymore. And I think we've got to get back to that mindset of understanding that the teacher is an activist. The role of the teacher is to raise and teach children who grow up and become activists. Right? Dr. King wrote a book 50 years ago, right? Where do we go from here? Chaos or community? And when you talk about folks, you're taking government funding, taking funding from the children and teachers and administrators who need it the most. That's chaos. And we're at this point. That's why I wrote this book, brother. And I appreciate you for writing it forward. And I don't say it enough, so I want to officially say it today. I appreciate you writing it forward in this book because it kicked it off to signify how important this moment is. If we're truly going to meet the needs of every child, it's not about giving them presents, ENTS. It's about that ENCE, that presence of the active, the administrator that knows that you can't teach black and brown children and not support the initiatives that are going to help those children or not fight against the injustices that work against those children. It's very hard to do both. So I think we've got to get back to the teacher and administrator, right, as the activists in the community. And I know folks, want to talk about, well, I don't want to share my politics. You don't have to. You just need to care about those children, where they come from, their culture, their community, their interests, because then you develop a school, a classroom that engages them, that looks like them, where they want to come there every day and know that they're unique, know that they're powerful, know that they're celebrated, and they're great. And that's what I see Dr. Sonia Mathis. She's part of that powerful team down there in Maryland with Dr. Echo down there. They're just amazing. They're just amazing people. Dr. Rachel and Dr. Mathis doing amazing work, and I learned so much from them. And here's the key too, brother, is that the teacher, and not just the teacher, but the leaders in our school need to understand, especially those new leaders out there that are in your audience every Saturday. Because when I'm out on the road and I meet them, they tell me they're there on Saturday. Is that we have to embrace that role as a learner as well. That we learn from one another. When they come here on Saturday morning, there's a whole lineup of folks on Saturday morning teaching. The amazing, Dr. Houston down in South Carolina teach, and then on Sunday as well. The impact of an educator is not based on our ability to teach solely, but rather our ability to learn and be curious. So if we want to bring that consciousness back, we have to come back to that in this role, we never stop learning. So we want to continue to have an open mind. We want to continue to make sure that we're connecting with folks, which your platform has been a great opportunity for leaders to connect. But we also want to make sure that we respect the history, as you and I both talked about often, how we use Dr. Kunjufu's work to teach when we were young teachers. And may he rest in peace. The brother just passed away, but he left a legacy. Legacy of learning about our own culture, our past, to be able to pass that on, to the next generation.
That's right. Good stuff. Woo! Powerful stuff. I want to read something to the fam, and then I'm going to ask you a question. It says, turnover is a serious issue across the country. The national average of tenure of principals in their schools is 4 years. The number masks considerable variation, with 35% of principals being at their school for less than 2 years and only 11% of principals being at their school for 10 years or more. Only 11%, 10 years or more. So the overall turnover, around 11% of public school principals left the profession between 2021 and 22 school years. Principals with 10 or more years of experience as a principal were more likely to leave compared to those with fewer years of experience. Principal turnover is more pronounced in schools serving predominantly students of color. Principals with lower salaries are more likely to leave than those with higher salaries. And finally, principals experiencing burnout, feeling stressed, exhausted, or losing enthusiasm were more likely to leave the profession. Right. So I wrote a note to myself to say that there's probably someone out there after hearing that. Someone probably said, amen, that is my reality. But here's my question to you. Despite everything I just read, every one of them folks that walked into these buildings, I would think, walked in with some semblance of a why, some semblance of a purpose. And somewhere along the way, that why got blurred, it became obscure, or it was just outright lost. My question to you, for someone who has stayed so long and also surmounted various different challenges, how do we get that principal out there who's probably in my thread right now on one of these platforms? How do we get that principal to become realigned with their why?
And that why, that purpose, it's one of the 6 pillars of a positive school culture. I think that we have to get back to that. We don't talk about, folks, they softly will talk about what my why is, but the why has to be connected to your purpose, because your purpose is connected to your action. And some of the other important pillars in that community, are growth, accountability, support, innovation, because see, the innovative leader is the one who operates with a purpose around it. Why? And we can disagree, in education, we disagree on a lot. But as long as we in the end game have that same why, that same purpose, and it may vary in how we do it, but the end is we want to see positive academic outcomes for children in school, and then long-term success and growth, not just short-term for the numbers, but impacting young people for long-term growth. So the way I believe we reconnect, with that why and realign is that I think we need to talk more with the people we work with, because sometimes they can give us a different view than what we have of ourselves. I tell principals and assistant principals often that you need to take some time and forgive yourself. You need to take some time and give yourself some grace, some mercy. We're hard on ourselves, but you can't do it alone. No one does it alone. That's why that team is so important. And that's why it's important also for us to align with what we, that vision we have. Make sure that strategic plan is aligned, because that's why that focus is important. I talk about, with my guys, Dr. TJ Vary and Joseph Jones, when we do our leadership talks and sessions and whatnot, as we talk about this concept of lift, right? Leadership, inspiration, focus, and trust. And that focus becomes very important. And I think we lose that as we get caught up in the grind, we get caught up in the struggle. That focus, which brings us back to what our vision was for the school, and then that strategic plan being connected to the action plan, the idea of actually being in classrooms. We talk about wanting to be visible, but that, and it's great to be outside in the car line and, out with buses, but I think we also have to be in those trenches right there in, my man JT Taylor talks about often, that plan and that vision, but being there, in those classrooms, with those young folks. And I think that's how we reconnect, sit in that cafeteria and talk to a young person and have them tell you how much they missed not seeing you on the day when you weren't there. Or sit down with a teacher who's struggling, who says that, I'm struggling, but I'm still here because of your support. And often I come back, because sometimes, brother, I'm 25 years in as a principal. Sometimes I have to say to myself, am I really making a difference? Am I really impacting the lives of these young people and these staff members? And then one just comes and says, I thought a few times about walking out, but then I just thought about how you've had my back, or somebody on your team, had my back. And I said, we're family. This is family. And this is why I'm still here. And then that helps me to get back to, that's my why. We get, somebody on there's a Facebook group there's a principals group. There was a principal talk about how, you know, the staff members ain't treating them right, and parents not treating them right, and, you know, the superintendent not treating them right, you know, and started questioning whether they were there, and then said it sat down with a student, and the student just said, let me tell you how amazing and how great you are, and said, look at God. That was God talking to me through that young person. Sit down with those youngins, and they'll let you know that you are making a difference, because, you know, one of my 4 C's is every child should have at least one person be crazy about them.
That's right.
And that's how we reconnect, is finding your purpose and your why, and then looking at what those actions are, and you'll see you are making a difference.
That's right. That's right. Hey, fam out there, when you saw the promotion, we're gonna go heavy on those 4 C's, by the way. But as I was thinking, as I put this together on these airplanes all week in hotel rooms when I could, I thought about, you know, it's back to school time. It's I got this long time veteran. I've never had a guest on here who's been a principal as long as Dr. L. So I came up with all these questions that I wanted him to respond to before we get to the 4 C's. So I'm hoping you all gonna hang in there with us. And if not, then certainly the video, as most of our viewers see the videos anyway, as opposed to the live. So with that said, let's keep moving. You know, Principal L, when one is in this business for as long as you have been in this business, you're going to encounter a variety of different supervisors, leadership above us, with various different styles of leadership, various different outlooks on leadership, various different agendas of leadership. And sometimes those situations can become very challenging for us as we're just trying to do our job, but the leadership above keeps changing, and the philosophies are so different from one another. So I know that there are people in this thread who have been confronted by that, who deal with that, because I get a lot of inboxes and so forth from people that talk to me privately. So what I want you to do, talk to us about the challenges of adapting to the different leadership philosophies and styles that one may encounter while they're within their principalship or their assistant principalship in the school. How from your vantage point, how may they adapt to the diversity of different styles as people come and go?
And that's probably, you know, that being adaptable is probably one of the most valuable skills for sustainability.
Yeah.
For a person in leadership, and not just in school leadership, but that's leadership in any area, whether in church and corporations, in the community where you are, because change is hard for people. And folks naturally resist change. So if you're going to be a state, and this times that we're living in now, as an administrator, a school administrator, we have to now become good at managing through change. With, you know, now you gotta get the same outcomes or more with less money in your budget, less resources for social emotional learning, for emotional well-being, for, you know, for equity and diversity, and less funding for supplies and materials, you know, and we somehow have to find a way to make it work. That's where the adaptation, you know, comes in. And also we talked about this whole idea of school leaders and the retention. The superintendent level, it's a whole different, you know, animal. You know, the average tenure in an urban district can be 3 years or 4 years at most, you know, for superintendents. And also, when you lose a good superintendent, so it depends on what your board is like. Because if your board is a problem, you will lose a good superintendent. And when you lose a good superintendent, it takes 4 to 5 years to find another good one. Same for a good principal. You lose a good principal, it's going to take you 3, 4, 5 years to find another good one. So that retention and that sustainability becomes very important. So we will be wise to be able to train and talk to our leaders about being able to adapt to change. The way I've done it is the way I've found some success is my mother used to tell me, you know, my mother's from Charleston, South Carolina, but also lived in New York for a good part of her life. And she said, eat the fish and spit out the bones. And I didn't realize the power of that when I was young. But when I became a leader, I realized that folks are going to come, and we knew as principals, this stuff's going to come 2, 3, 4 years. If it don't work, they're going to come with something else.
Yeah.
We have to steady the ship in school and let folks know, listen, we get on this ride, but understand, let's stay close to our vision and our plan, because a vision without a plan is a hallucination. So let's stay on course, take what we're given, and let's make sure we're still tapping into raising these young people to be conscious, to be activists, to know their history, to know that we need them to excel academically, but we also need them to be kind. We also need them to be critical thinkers, learning how to self-regulate. Many things that they don't ever test a child on a state exam, but most colleges and most employers would tell you those are the skills they're looking for, in adults. So what I have done often is I listen, and that's important also for our new leaders out there, is be a listener. Listen intently, tap into what's being said, not just by your supervisor, but also by the folks that you supervise.
Yeah.
Because listening can be healing for some people. But when you listen, people also begin to trust you because they know now you're a learner. You want to learn. Don't come in and say, hey, I'm going to change everything. I'm not going to. No, listen and learn, and then take what you learn and use it to stay on focus, on mission, and keep supporting those folks. And when you do that, you'll find those good teachers, great teachers, will stay with you because they know you have the courage to be able to fight for what's right. You and I both know, because we were in fights for our jobs.
We were in them. That was the spirit of the question. We were in them.
Right.
Yeah, we know.
We said we're going to stand on principle, no pun intended. We're going to stand on principle and fight for what's right. Learn how to, navigate the waters, navigate with purpose, right? As I see my leaders talking about, and then also being able to deal with change. And then, as I say to folks often, become very good at telling folks to go to hell and help them to look forward to the ride. When you master that as a leader, right, then folk, they don't even understand what you just put on them, but you just let them know that, listen, if it's not good for my children, it's not good for my teachers and staff, then I'm probably really not going to be that interested in it. I'm going to hear you out, but I'm going to stay on mission. I'm going to stay on focus. I'm going to navigate with purpose, with coherence, and then make sure that everybody in that building has that sense of belonging and knows that I want them to be seen, heard, understood, appreciated, valued, and celebrated. And that just rhymed if you didn't catch that.
Yeah. No, that was solid. That was solid. It's interesting, Principal L. Adaptability is a skill.
Yes, sir.
Right. It doesn't come with the title. Right. It's and I haven't been in grad school since 1996. So I don't know what they teach there now. I don't know how they're training principals. I have no idea. And of course, every professor is going to be different. They have different experiences and so forth, outlook, worldview. But adaptability to me, considering the volume of us who get ourselves into jams with different leaders coming in with different outlooks, different perspectives, and so forth, I think we need to learn how to navigate that space. And I think it should start or somewhere, grad school, internship, wherever, but it's got to be a conversation, because you just like a superintendent will be hired by a board that is favorable. But by the time you get to the end of your tenure, you may have enemies on that board and you can get nothing passed, nothing done. How do I, superintendent, adapt to a board that doesn't love me to death like the one that hired me? So it's so the same comparison to say with that principal. You in there, certain assistant superintendents, they loved you, but now they moved on to take on superintendency somewhere else, and now they got new ones, and they don't particularly love you, right? So now, how do I adapt to that if I don't want to leave it, right? Yes, and that's, I think we need to teach that, because there's a lot of frustrated and disgruntled people out here, and me having just the position I have in terms of the platform, I get to hear a lot of that. I get it in private inboxes and in emails, people looking for advice. What do I do? Right? Because I'm in this situation, but I don't want to leave my job. Right. So it's real. Let me go to this next one. You grew up in an urban environment as I did. You grew up in Philly. Was it North or South?
North Philly all day, brother. North Philly.
All day.
Listen, same elementary school as Dawn Staley, same projects as Dawn Staley. I just wish my game was like hers, you know.
Yeah, North Philly in
Yes,
the building. So you grew up in an urban environment. You taught in an urban environment. You continue to lead in an urban environment. I got a two-parter for you. Part one, in what ways did growing up in an urban environment inform your skill set, your abilities as an urban teacher and principal?
Mm-hmm. So listen, we'll go back to the whole concept of being adaptive, you know, because, you know, superintendents need that. We talked about principals need that. And to be quite honest with you, many times when folks leave their jobs, they will tell you that they just were not able to adapt. They weren't able to adapt to whatever the changes, you know, were. And that was the reason that led them to make a move. Growing up in North Philly, we learned to adapt early in life. Early, you grew up in I know you went from New York, in East Orange, right? You can't just see the corner, you got to see around the corner.
Yeah.
You got to know before you go around that corner what was happening there yesterday, the week before. So we learned how to think on our feet early on. And so when I became a teacher in really the same community where I was a student in North Philly, I knew what the students were coming from. So when students didn't want to sit by the window because there had been a drive-by the day before and they were worried about retaliation right in the community near the school, I understood that. So I didn't say, man, I told you to sit over there. I'm going to write you up if you don't sit over there. No, I knew. And the students would pull me to the side. And I think being from the community and from a similar environment, I was able to tap into and develop those relationships early with them. I started taking young people early in my career to hear Tony Brown on Saturdays lectures.
Yeah.
But, you know, taking them to see Brother Kanjufu and other speakers, taking them out, you know, just exposing them. I would take them to my mother. My mother would cook for these, and I have young people that they tell me today, you know, the only reason why I went because your mom was cooking. You know, it wasn't really you know, greens and whatnot. But the idea was I wanted them to see that I was a person too, outside of being a teacher. And once I was able to gain their trust, because you started off this whole morning talking about relationships.
Yeah.
Trust is the engine that drives relationships. Folks want relationships, but do they want to do the work, right? Do they really want to know about the environment where these children come from? Where I saw somebody just posted that. That's important. You know, when you look in their faces, do you see yourself? And do you want them to see themselves in you? And so coming from that environment, I knew how important that was for me because, you know, fortunate for me, you know, there wasn't a shortage of Black male educators when I was growing up. Now many of them were coaches, you know, many of them worked in other capacities, but we had that male. I told somebody when I was in Tucson, Arizona recently that the janitor was probably the most powerful male in our building. Because many of us, our fathers weren't around. He was there and he would tighten you up. And he just didn't get upset because, you know, we kept putting paper towels in the sink and in the toilet. He also saw you cutting up, and he said, "Listen, I want to see you do better." He was powerful, you know, for us like that. And so, coming from that environment, I made that connection with them. But I'm gonna be honest with you, brother. I'm gonna go on your live right now on your live stream and tell you, and I talk about this in my book. When I first started teaching, I said to my young people, life is not easy. So I'm not making it easy for you. When you come in my class, I need you to have everything that you need to be successful. I want all your supplies, your tools, come with the right attitude. I never thought about some of these kids were cleaning up after car parties at 12 and 1 o'clock in the morning. Some of them were up early giving insulin to family members. Like some of them were getting younger siblings ready for school and still made it in my school, but yet I want to fight with you over a pencil. You know, and so I had to put myself in check and said, wow, I'm not giving them the same care and concern and compassion that I received. I mean, I had a teacher tell me, you know, she said, you were late to my class every day and I never marked you late. She said, because I would look out my window and see you at the food stand buying food on the way to class. So I knew why you were late. My mother raised 8 children, 6 boys as a single mom. She said, I knew all your brothers. I knew you were struggling. So it was no way I was going to mark you late. But I just pushed you even more in my classroom because I knew one day you would be able to tell your story to others. She said, "Now I didn't know the school district would be crazy enough to let you become a principal." She said, "But what I knew was that your story would be powerful." And I think growing up in that environment, I learned the same thing, that I had to connect with those young people, be aware of what they were experiencing, and say and come to grips with that. I had to go to where they are and take them to where I wanted them to go. I had the Pope talk to when he came to Philly, and I hate to say this, you know, I'm from Philly. My Eagles are the Super Bowl champions, and you know, but when he came one year during around the Super Bowl, he talked about how, thank you, Brother John Howard, my man Hayward, you're saying the empathetic educator, the one who taps into that emotional intelligence. And you know, Brother Hayward, that's a powerful brother, you know, who I've known for over 20 years. Who is in that tree, you know, that's what I'm talking about. What keeps us going is knowing that we have brothers like that. But the Pope said a good shepherd is not afraid to be amongst the sheep. A good shepherd is not afraid, knows how the sheep smell. When I see you on your speeches, you come off that stage. You post the pictures. You take pictures with folks. You up because you're not afraid to be amongst the people. And then I had a principal in the Midwest tell me once, he said, Principal L, the sheep know how the shepherd smell. The people know when you're real. The children, the teachers, those you serve, they know when you have their best interest at heart. And I know this was a 5-minute response to a 30-second question.
No.
It's important, brother. It's very important that we wrote, especially for those new and aspiring leaders out there. Make those connections and don't be afraid to be amongst the people, because you don't have to eat a whole pie to know it tastes good. Once they know you're there for them, they'll knock down the wall for you.
Wow. Hey fam, here it is. Let me change my screen there. The Meet Their Needs and They'll Succeed by Dr. Salome Thomas L. I might add, forward written, if I could find it. There we go. Written by Baruti Kafele. Right. Hit the other tab on your Chrome or whatever browser you're using. Order your copy now. Meet Their Needs and They'll Succeed. Right. Brand new, released in April. ASCD. ISTE is the publisher, but on the ASCD side, get your copy now. Right. We'll bring it back up. Let me ask you this part B to that same question. We're gonna flip it now. So now
that was just part A, huh?
Yeah, that was just part A. That was part A. You know, we got this.
You rolling today?
Yeah, you know, we rolling, and I ain't even halfway done yet. Right. So we got you know, this, you know, I tell people all the time, I don't have a show. Shows have end times. I have an academy, and we go until we finish, right?
Well, I blocked out the whole day. The only thing I have scheduled is later on this afternoon. I'm a Simon Gratz High School graduate in Philly, you know. So and is Rasheed Wallace went to Gratz, Aaron McKee, John Chaney, you know, Dr. Marcus Foster, amazing folks. So we have our reunion, and then later on we have an old school Greek picnic that we do in Philly. Wow. You know, young people, they built differently now. So we got to do the old school Greek picnic. So that's in Philly, but that's later on today. But I blocked the whole day off for you and the AP and New Principals family, the Academy family. So that we can because somebody's gonna go into their school, because whether these folks like it or not, these children are coming back.
They're coming.
Somebody's gonna go into their school. You heard I posted that, right? It's folks already in this school, and I don't mean teacher professional development. They are children in school already, and somebody's gonna walk into their school from this family and say to a young person, "You can be me because I was once you." I'm ready, I'm fired up, I'm inspired, and I'm ready to make that move. And somebody's gonna say, I'm ready to make the move to leadership. because of the family that we have here.
Good stuff. I appreciate it. Part B, you got a leader who is not a product of an urban environment, knows nothing about it, has seen it on television, right? Has seen it in the movie, has listened to their favorite rapper and described it from that vantage point. But now I want to be a leader. I started teaching in I didn't teach in an urban environment, but there's an opening for principalship in an urban environment, and they hire me. My question is, how do we prepare? Because this person knows the rudiments of leadership, but that's not enough. How do we effectively prepare this person who lacks familiarity with an urban environment to become a proficient urban leader? And the thing that jumps out at me is the point you made about youngsters knowing that retaliation could be nearby. Well, that one who's not of that environment may not understand that. And that's just one piece of a very big puzzle. So what are your thoughts on how we prepare this person?
Brother, man. And and what's deep is that happens more times than people realize.
Do you know this brother here, Alfred Coach Powell from Dayton, Ohio?
Yeah, I've seen him on social media.
He wrote a book called Message in the Bottle. Long time ago.
I got to get that.
Yeah, it's 2-volume set. Y'all got to meet at some point.
Yeah. Where is he in Ohio?
He's in Dayton. He's a legend.
I was just in Dayton too at Sinclair Community College. And I'm going back, so I got to definitely make sure I meet that brother because the sister from the 688 charity early, she's from Dayton.
Oh, okay. He probably knows. He probably knows her. But he'll be on with me, Chika Akua, and DeLacy Davis in February. It's gonna be the 4 of us. Okay. So it's gonna be out of this world.
Yeah, but I'll definitely connect with him before then. But what I was saying is that happens more not because here's the reality of it. 80 to 90% of the profession are white educators, mostly female, who didn't grow up in communities where they're working, right? And also, I want to applaud this educator as well, because there are many people, and not just those that are non-minority, non-African Americans, there are many who will see a school in an urban environment and they will sit back and wait for other jobs. They'll wait years for other jobs before they apply for a particular job because they know it may challenge them to be able to make those connections, to do that work. So how I would prepare that educator is to understand that the challenge is going to be there, but if it doesn't challenge you, it won't change you. And you've got to be open to change if you're going to go in and impact the lives of some young people who every day that they come to school, they're coming on a battlefield. It's a battlefield just for them to get to school. And so when they come to that door and they're there and we open that door, we're soldiers. We're soldiers of love. So I want them to understand right away that when you meet those young people, even though you're not from the community, they need to know that you love them before you ever met them. That you came to that community because we've seen it. We've seen folks who didn't look like the children. They weren't from the community, but they come in and they show them that I am here to love you. I'm going to make some mistakes, but I'm going to have high expectations. I'm going to make sure that I expose you. If I can't provide you what you need, I'm going to find some black males to come in this classroom and speak to you. And we know because they reach out to us and say, can you get on Zoom and talk to my students? Yeah. That's the culturally responsive educator and leader, right? They also, this is going to be huge, folks. So I hope that they're listening. Go in and talk to people that you see have made those connections. Find out from them, what is it that you're doing? Don't come in there thinking you know everything because you went to Harvard and you went to Howard and you went to all these other schools and you come in and you had a straight. Those children don't care about your GPA. All they want to know is, do you care?
Mm.
Do you support the community that supports my family? Do you understand me? Are you the educator that I need? Go in and learn from those others who have been there. My mother told me when I wanted to be a principal, brother, and I remember my mother passed away in 2002. But I had some serious conversations with her because she was very heavily involved in the community in our schools. And when I wanted to be a principal, when I wanted to be a teacher, she told me best job, best decision you could ever make. Just remember, every teacher's not a parent, but every parent is a teacher.
Mm.
I called my mom and said, Mom, I want to be a principal. She said, boy, you don't lost your mind. I said, Mom, why would you say that? She said, who wants to supervise adults? Who wants to be in charge of grown people? She said, but if you're going to go in and be a successful educator, you have to understand that you are there to serve others. Don't go in and be arrogant. She said, arrogance is the Achilles heel of the school leader. So I knew right away, even though I was from the community, I had to have the mindset, because often, and this is something we don't talk about much, is when we become educated, some folks view us as they're sleeping with the enemy. That you went out and got educated, now you on the other side. Or when you become an administrator, because I became administrator in schools where I taught or with people I taught with. And then they're like, man, you're on the dark side now.
That's what I was going to say. Dark side. Yeah.
Right. So you got to go in, you got to make those connections. And I see folks that you got some intelligent, powerful people on this live, because they're talking about exactly what we need to do to connect with. When you have an educator, teacher, or leader who's going in to work with people that they know nothing about, they've got to be entrenched in that culture. When I was up in Yonkers, New York, where your good brother is superintendent in Yonkers now. When I was in Yonkers, they have a program.
Anibal Soler.
Oh, that's my brother, man. And he's been
on here too.
Yeah. Now, when I was there, Dr. Cusada was there, right? And he took over for him. They have a wonderful program where they take the teachers out, because many of them are not from the community. They take them out for what they call community walks. And they go and they walk the community. And I said, we got to be careful. So they said we became streetwalkers. I said, now in the hood, we got a different perception of the streetwalker.
Right.
But we joked about it, but it's powerful, because now you see the laundromat that these students go to on a daily basis. You see the bodega where they go to on a daily basis. You see the community, you see the drug corners and things that they have to navigate every day. So when they come into your school, and years ago, I used to take folks to the projects, Principal Kafele. Now, I don't want to say it too loud because my superintendent wasn't happy about it, because I had a teacher one day try to go in on her own. I had to go grab her and say, you don't want to go? Because I said, number one, you understand that elevator ain't worked in 20 years. So you going up 20 flights of steps. But the thing is, once they saw the projects and saw, and I was a principal near the Blumberg project. They tore it down now, but would transform your life just seeing where children come from. But it also educated them to understand the power of the children who come from that community and show up every day to learn from you. I talk and meet the needs about a teacher who drove by. She worked in an urban school and said to the kids, y'all have a nice playground. How come nobody plays at the playground? She didn't understand that was a safety issue for those young people. Yeah. And the young people said, man, I ain't going out to that playground. Ain't no adults out there. So she said what she did was one day she took her own children to that playground. And the kids saw her and started coming to the playground. And she said, after I did that, I had no more problems in school pretty much, because basically I made the playground safe, for them. Now, she had some other teachers go with her. She was smart. But the idea was she didn't understand initially why they weren't there. She asked the students. She didn't assume. Assumption is the quickest path to ignorance. She didn't assume that the children didn't want to be. She asked them, why aren't you there? And somebody said, Principal, you have a position for a grandma. I need a few of them grandmas, because these folks I got today out here, buying $200 sneakers for children ain't earned one A, one B, ain't that. I need some grandmothers out there. But you know, in all seriousness, is if you're going to impact the lives of those young people, get to know them, get to know their culture. And here's a powerful one. I used to take folks to visit church and mosque sometime for the young people. They see that you have respect for their religion, you have respect for their culture. You know, you want to learn the language, you want to learn about their families. I used to take them to community basketball games. Once we make those connections, because one of my 4 C's is being curious about their lives outside of school.
Yeah.
When you don't know, that's how you find out. You go and you learn from those young people. You have an open heart and you build those relationships. Like my friends at Creekmoors down in Atlanta, you know, they talk a lot and present about that power of those teacher-student relationships. They're big, but who wants to do the work? Because you got to get below that surface, brother, and really learn about those young people, learn about their families, and then be prepared for it not working that first time and being able to adapt. Let's go back to being able to adapt and come back and say, I'm still here. I know you may not trust me yet, but I'm still here. That didn't work. Let's try it again today.
Powerful stuff. I'm taking it all in. You know, I'm going to ask you one more question of my own, and then I want to transition to the 4 C's. And then depending on time, I'm going to want to come back to my questions, or else I'll save them for a follow-up later on. But this one is really important that I said I don't want to leave it for later on. The principalship, as you know, and as many on this thread know, can be a very lonely position. It can be. The buck stops with the principal, not the assistant principal. It may stop with the assistant principal in terms of our relationship with the AP, but in terms of central office, it's going to stop with us. But you know, despite the fact that many of us will conclude that it's a lonely position, I have watched you for many years from afar, and you have made the principalship unlonely as it relates to you specifically, right? So my question is, what is it that you've done? Talk to us about how you have removed the loneliness from the principalship, and therefore you're able to operate in something very different from a lonely principal.
Right. And it is, you know, we say it can be lonely. I mean, the reality is, it is lonely because you're the only one, and it stops with you. And then you have and then here's the thing about being a principal. And you know, we talk about often how, you know, it's a great job because, you know, everybody loves you when they need something, and, you know, everybody wants. But the issue is the principal has the superintendent on top, and then has the pressure coming from the teachers and the parents and the community coming from underneath. Then you have all these societal issues, you know, as well. That job is hard. And when you're the only one, it not only becomes lonely, is you become tired. You wear yourself out. So the formula, brother, I developed, I don't think I've ever shared this before, and I'm gonna give it to you right now.
Debut.
Is I started connecting with other principals. That's how we met. That was 20 years ago in New York City.
That's right.
That's how we met. And then I started realizing, okay, so it's not just me who's having the problem with the superintendent's office, right? It's not just me. And then I connect with people like, you know, Jimmy and Dr. Houston and these other leaders in other places. And I started saying, wow, you know, I got a brother, Dr. Deron Ford, down in the Newport News area in Virginia, that Virginia Beach area. Principal just took over Heritage High School. He was a principal prior, and I was on Zoom with him this week with his leadership team, and he was talking about influence. That's their mission this year, is influence and instructional leadership, the power of instructional leadership. You know, and not being just managers of what's going on. And so I wanted to get past that role of being someone who just kind of helped the school go. I wanted to be someone who could inspire my staff, but also have them see me. I have an open door. I want you to know that I'm there for you. And that's why I started making those connections with other leaders outside of my own community on the national level, getting ideas from them and coming back and sharing that with with my staff. What I also did, brother, is I also made my role one where I wanted to bring the joy to school every day. So I would literally walk in the classrooms and I would start rapping for kids. Right in the middle of them, you learning about Charles Drew? Well, let me tell you what I'm about to do. Let me tell you what, I just walked in the door and the teacher's going to tell you much more. So, and they're like, oh, you got bars, and then the teacher's like, oh, okay. Now, the problem is when I leave, they had to get the classroom back in order. But I wanted them to see your principal is not only the person that's on you when you have discipline issues, but I also want to come in and I want school to be fun for you. I had one student in 8th grade, she gave a speech and said, when I was in preschool, I wanted to come to school so bad because my sister would come home, my older sister would come home and talk about how her principal comes to school and rap. And she said, ain't no way an old man know how to rap. But the idea was I wanted school to be fun. I wanted to create schools where children and parents are knocking the door down to get in instead of knocking the door down to get out. How do we do that? We let them know we're real. I also would bring my children to school. And they the school, the people in school saw my children grow up. I have some staff members some of my former staff members sending me pictures of my daughters when they were 3, because I posted a picture of my daughter that's got a master's degree from University of Penn, and my youngest is a senior at a Bowie State, Maryland. And I posted that, and they sent me some pictures of my daughters when they were 3 and 4 years old. These are staff members, because when I became a new principal, I had principals who literally came to me and said, you cannot be friends with your staff. Go in, start writing up people right away. Let them know nobody. You can't. Those days are over. And I said, well, you know what? I'm gonna be a new kind of principal, because some of these folks were in my wedding. I'm gonna turn my back. Some of them babysit my kids. I can't turn my back on them. So I made the role of principal one who was a molder of consensus, not who comes in and said it's my way or the highway. Come in, I want to get your opinion. I want to get your feedback. Now I'm gonna make the final decision, but I'm gonna give you input. But I also want you to understand and learn about me, my culture, where I'm from. I'm just like these children, because I've been in a teacher's lounge and heard seen people look out the window and say, look at where these children come from. How are they gonna grow up and be anything? And I would say to them, guess what? I lived in that same community. And I'm here right now because there were teachers and administrators who believed in me. And I saw my brother Otis Kitchen out of Florida in here. Every time I talk to Otis, that brother makes sure he let me know that he has learned so much from you. He lets me know every time. And I appreciate that so much. Yes.
Yeah, that's my brother. Go ahead.
Good brother. And it takes a special person to be comfortable to celebrating the success of other people. That brother is encourages me from afar. And I think that's how I made the job not lonely, connecting with other leaders out there in the world who keep you lifted up. You keep them lifted up, and creating that community and that network where now we bringing more people, into the profession for sure.
I love it. You were thorough in that response too. That was that's good stuff. Hey folks, before we go to the 4 C's, which is the brand of the good brother. Let me say it again. This position can be lonely.
Very. But
it doesn't have to be. You heard what Principal L said about those relationships with staff, right? And I certainly have strong relationships with my staff, right? It's lonely, but it doesn't have to be, but it's going to boil down to how you lead, your leadership style, your leadership philosophy, because when you've isolated yourself from the people that you lead, then yeah, you're alone. And it can be a very difficult position to be in, because you're in that building 10, 12 hours a day, right? Whatever it is. Make sure that you take this quote unquote lonely position and make it as unlonely as you possibly can.
And let me add this, and I want to add this as well, brother. And that's why it's important for us to build the capacity of those around us. Those leaders that you have around you, those teacher leaders, your assistant principals, we have to build them up, and we have to give them opportunities to take risks and be leaders, because you can't do it by yourself. You're going to wear yourself out. And they can't get better if we don't give them challenges. They're going to struggle. They're going to struggle. But the struggle is the learning. But we have to give them those responsibilities and challenges, because one day they are going to lead and they will draw on those experiences. We have many leaders, brother. You know this. So I'm preaching to the choir, but the choir needs to be inspired too. Mm-hmm. There are leaders who say, I'm doing everything. Doesn't matter what it is. I'm doing it all. You're going to wear yourself into the ground. You're going to end up in the hospital. You got to lean on those folks out there. You train them. They've been trained. They've been in the work. They've been in the trenches. Release that, build them up, give them the opportunity, and then build that community and culture where they can take those risks, and then also become a leader who celebrates not only success, but growth, work ethic, and also taking risks. Celebrate those folks and say, give me that kid. So if nobody want that kid in their room, I know he might give an aspirin a headache, but I want him in my room. He or she's going to be successful. And recognize those folks that say, give me that, or that teacher that's struggling, and you have that lead teacher that says, put him on my team. I'm going to have him in my room once a week watching me. I'm going to help this person become, because we can't, folks not lining up to do this work. So we have to make sure going into this new school year, and I know we're going to probably have some time to kind of talk about what we're going to do for the new school year, but make sure you're going in with the mindset that you are building up others so it doesn't all fall on you. And that's that communication that's important. We'll talk about that.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about it. I'm a transition to the 4 C's, and then we're gonna come back. So y'all stay with us, man. We got so much to talk about. So much to talk about. Principal L, your brand, whether you have embraced it as your brand or not, this is what the public sees you as. I know this definitively. Those 4 C's, they define you. You've been talking about them so long now. So your brand is a principal and a presenter. The 4 C's of school success. They are, and I want to list them before I get into you talking about this. Crazy about kids, curious about their lives outside of school, consistent adults in students' lives, and culture of love, support, and high expectations. Before we get into that conversation, however, when I was reading through the first part of the book on the plains, I stumbled on when you were an in-school suspension teacher. And you had these 3 students, Sean, Rodney, and Dante.
Man, I was hoping we gonna be able to talk about that. I didn't know if we would have time, but you picked up on that in the book.
I try to be as thorough as I can, man. So so I read that with great interest, and I want you to talk to us about that experience and how those 3 young men molded Salone Thomas L into Principal L one day.
I'm gonna tell you something, bro. I get emotional talking about these young guys, because I was on the phone today. I got a good brother, Patrick Oliver, who's down in Dallas, Texas, but he's out of Little Rock, Arkansas. I think from the Philander Smith area, and does a lot of community work, vision board. He works with my young people, and he has a website, speakloudly.com, and I'm talking about him because he's about the community, and he exposed my children to some powerful folks in the community. And I started talking to him this morning about Rodney, Dante, and Sean, and how I met them in an alternative program. That it was called the Second Chance program. They called them basically at-risk students that they didn't even know if they would even get to high school. And those 3 young, and I know you saw I was on a plane with Tyrese Maxey from the Sixers.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I was on 5-hour flight to LA. I let the brother chill, sitting right across from me on the plane.
Wow.
I didn't say a word to him. I knew he was. Folks walking by they don't know us. We got to know them. They don't know us.
Yeah.
When we landed, I said, brother, I wanted you to chill. I ain't want to bother you. He said, man, I really appreciate that. And I said, but I want to tell you something, that I'm a principal. I'm teaching these children to survive. I'm teaching them chess. I'm teaching them, they're going to these colleges and whatnot. I said, but you are an excellent role model for them. And if you could just give me a couple minutes when we get off the plane, He said, no problem, man. Take a picture and everything. But I also told him that I had a former student named Rodney Vini. And I said, Rodney works, with he stopped me right there. He said, I know Rodney. Because see, Rodney was in the second alternative program, but Rodney Vini got a master's degree now. Rodney Vini is a social work and counselor, but he also started his own business, a professional services business, where when professional athletes come into Philly, football, basketball, he taps into them, shows them where to buy their cars, where to buy a house, who you can trust, what part of Philly to go into, what part of Philly stay out of. So he connects with, and Tyrese Maxey knew who Rodney was.
Wow.
And I told him Rodney's story. This was a young man that people in the neighborhood, they gave up on him, but he didn't give up on himself. And he taught me that if I don't give up on them, that they won't give up on. They didn't give up on me. They bought into it. Him, Sean Murphy, who's in that story, he's got a master's degree. He's a gym teacher and coach in Philadelphia. Dante, who didn't go up to college right away, but ended up going back, finishing, has his degree. He was working in banking, just beat cancer twice. Rodney, Sean, and Dante, we just had dinner a few years ago, and I just wanted to celebrate them still being alive, but making a difference in the community. All the businessmen, educated, but what they taught me early on in my career. Oh, and look, brother Andrew Bell said he know Rodney Vini. You was just with Andrew some weeks ago, right?
Yep.
Yeah, man, in Jersey. That's my man.
And real quick, a Dr. Bell soon to be. Check the email I sent you last week, man. Right? Check that email. I sent you an invite to this platform. I don't think you saw it. All right, go ahead.
Well, I'm gonna tell you the problem is he out there fishing too much, man. He can't get no wildfire out there. He stay on that. He stay on that boat, man. But those three young men, they humbled me and showed me, because I'm teaching high-level mathematics, and I'm using Dr. Kajufu's blueprint, for these young men. But I also had to win their hearts first, bro. But once I won their hearts, and they, they teased me today. They said, "Man, we in school suspension, and you teaching us about Imhotep and teaching us about pyramids and all this kind of, base 10, base, But the thing is, I wanted them to understand that you get educated, nobody can ever take that from you. It's great to have the reputation of being the toughest in the school, toughest in the neighborhood, but when you can hustle using your mind, then that's the grind. And those three young men, that's why I'm so proud. And you asked me earlier, why do I choose to stay? It's because I want to be around to see young men like Rodney and Dante and Sean, do their thing, man. And I'm so proud of them. And the fact that, and what they shared with me when we went out to dinner, they said, we tough guys, we never told you this. They said, but man, you was like a father figure, and Dante had his father. Like, these guys had their fathers there for them. They may not have been there all the time, but they said, but in school, that was it. And these guys were basketball players, but I made them up. Now, I joke in the book how Rodney he's the size of Barkley and Shaq up together, But I also made them become chess players, as well. Same thing, Bones Highland. You probably read about Bones in the book, and the whole section on trauma. He was a great ball player, got drafted by the Nuggets and scored 27 on LeBron, had 39 on KD. But I also told him, you got to learn to play chess too, brother, because I want that mind to work. Children like that humbled me and helped me to understand that we have to connect with their hearts before we connect with their minds. And we also have to be able to show them our softer side as well. I wanted them to see that strong male. But I remember around the time when I was educating them was when Rodney King had with the Rodney King situation went down, and they struggled with that. I mean, these young men wanted to get violent, and I had to tell them, we got to channel that. Let's become. And that, when I think about it, I think that was the time when I started taking these brothers out to these lectures to hear these African brothers, these doctors, Dr. Malefi Asante, and who were some of my brothers out of New York?
John Henry Clark.
John Henry Clark.
Leonard Jeffries.
Oh man, Doc,
James
man, I can
Small.
still hear Dr. Jeffries today.
Yeah.
You know, today, and knowing that some of the young people, and I only knew because my mother used to take me.
Yeah.
And then so I just knew, and once she wasn't able to take me anymore, I went and I started taking those young people, never knowing that they would be doing what they're doing now. But I said, let me plant the seed for a tree whose shade I may never enjoy. But let me plant the seed so they would come back and make a difference in the community. So, you know, hats off to those young men. I'm proud of them. And I'm glad people on there saying that they know these young men because they're out there doing great work.
Small world. I want to share an excerpt as we get into the 4 C's. I want to share something directly from the book. So folks, lean in, as they say. Page 16. It all starts with being crazy about our kids. That's why it's got the real estate in the figure. This is a figure, a graph, if you will. It means loving them before we ever meet them and committing to support them no matter what, regardless of their behavior, academic success, or status. This passion leads to curiosity, a spark that inspires us to learn not just about them as students, but as individuals with lives outside the school. And what we often learn is that the children who need the most love tend to ask for it in difficult ways and can be leery of accepting it first. At first, being consistent adults who show up regularly with positive, curious energy means we can set an example for our students. We show them they can rely on us no matter what. And these attitudes and actions inform a surrounding culture of love and support. In this way, the 4 C's are a means to making a positive and lasting impact as a teacher, leader, and educator. So I wanted to share that as a backdrop. And let me put this on the screen again, folks. This is Dr. L's newest book. If you go to Amazon, it would be at Salome Thomas L. Right? Meet their needs and they'll succeed. Get yourself a copy. You can go to Amazon right now, go to a different tab, get your copy. You can go to ascd.org and get your copy as well. All right, let's go. So these 4 C's, crazy about kids. Talk to us.
It's the foundation. The children have to, you know, Dr. Rita Pearson made a powerful TED talk years ago, brother. And she passed away shortly thereafter. And I don't know if some people realize that she was sent to us to deliver that message. She said every child needs a champion. Every child needs a champion. And you know, she made some controversial statements in it, not for me, but for some. And one of them she mentioned was that children don't learn from people that they don't like.
Right.
And there were folks that heard that and said, well, you know, I don't need them to like me. That's not what she was saying.
Right.
She was saying, do they know you're crazy about them? Do they know that no matter what they do? Because listen, I got some young people that will give an aspirin a headache, brother. Trust me. But you know what I tell them? I'll see you tomorrow. And when you come in here tomorrow, I'm going to hug you. I'm going to lift you up. And I'm going to be there for you. Not just on the good days, but on those bad days as well. You know, I wanted to be that one for them. And that's what she really meant. You know, because we're not out here trying to make friends. We want a friend, we'll get a pet. That's not what we're doing. What we want to do is we want that young people to go out in the world and speak our name in rooms we're not in. You know how they are. You let them see you in the mall somewhere, or let them see you in the store. Man, or you going to a restaurant, want to work. That's my old person. That's my old. They want the world to know, because that child knew that if nobody else in that school loved me or cared about me, was crazy about me, I knew you were, no matter what I did. And that's that trauma-informed educator, is that when they having that meltdown, you know, like, man, what's wrong with you? No, yo, what's going on? What happened? What's causing you to act this way? I need to do something about that. I need to correct that. So and it's okay. You don't have a problem with me, how I'm acting? No, I want to help you calm down, because I want to get to the bottom of what caused you. There has to be something that triggered this. And so when we're crazy about young people, we care about who they are. We care about their culture. And folks you gotta become comfortable with wanting to know about where these children come from and what they come from, what they bring with them. There's some children who are living in some very struggling conditions. And on that battlefield, they show up to that door every day because they know you're crazy about them. They know you are important. And brother, when they talk, and you know, because you are in the trenches, when you talk to young people and the ones that are struggling or they're in trouble or they feel like they can't make it, we've even been in situations like that in our own personal lives. And you ask them, who cares about you? Who loves you in the building? And many of them will tell you, nobody in this building cares about me. Nobody loves me, because they don't know. And that's why many of my audiences, I ask people, tell me something you did to show your families, your community, your students, you were crazy about them and curious about their lives. And there's some people that stand up. I tell you, the sister yesterday in Minnesota, she said, I do this work because I didn't feel like nobody loved me or cared about me when I was in school. And I'll be damned if another kid feels like that in my building.
Wow.
I'm going to make sure they know that there's one person who's crazy about them. Powerful. Powerful. And that's what it's all about, man. Being that champion. And you know, Jimmy Costas talks about this often. You know, being that champion, being that servant, you know, for those young people, you know, to be able, that shepherd, to be able to deliver that for those, that joy, that love. The principal brings the joy. The assistant principal brings the joy to the school. I see my great sister, AKA Hayes, out there, right? We appreciate you. We need you because we know you bring that joy. Bring it, and bring it every day.
I got to ask you a question. You know, there's a workshop that I do. At least I did before this administration. I don't get invited to do this one too much anymore. Right. But it's called It's Not Enough to Do Equity. You must be equity. Now,
I remember that.
Yeah, I don't get that invite anymore. They'll lose their funding if I bring that. Yep, right. So what a time. But I digress. But you know something with that title, you know, it makes sense. It's not enough to do it. You've got to be it. You've got to personify it. You've got to embody it. Right. But here's the challenge. You can't teach anybody to become something. Right. Like I can't make you become equity in that regard. You have to want it from within. Right. I can just give you the theory around that. If you don't become it, then you're shortchanging kids. It's not enough. So now let's go to crazy about kids because it's the same comparison. My question to you, when that person, that burnt out person who's been in this thing for a while, or just that low expectations, you know, whatever it is, that no, I'm not crazy about these kids. I just need this job, right? My question to you, what structure can a principal put in place? What things can a principal say? What activity, whatever can leadership put in place that at least increases the probability that maybe I can develop a sense of love for children that I maybe used to have, but I no longer have? What are your thoughts on that person that's sitting in that audience that you're speaking to, that's saying, I ain't crazy about nobody. I'm crazy about this math I teach, but I'm not crazy about these kids anymore.
Right. My first few years as elementary principal, brother, I had a teacher, you know, and I made this argument, like, so I went to the, you know, sometimes we got to go for the gusto, right? We go for the juggler. And I say, listen, you got to love these kids the way you love your own. I had a teacher tell me, I don't even love my kids at home. I said, damn, checkmate. You go, what can I tap into here? Because she said, I don't even love my own children.
Wow.
Like they're hard for me.
Wow.
Wow, what do I do for this teacher here? And I think the strategy really, I mean, this is a tough question because in reality, there are people like this in many of our buildings. Their children, and they teach for decades. I've been in places where people, they call them serial killers, for lack of a better term, that they really kill the desire and inspiration of young people working in these schools. Because imagine if you teach for 30 years in a large high school, How many young people you made? Because I've had them. I got a young lady, one of my chess players just graduated from Cornell University. I remember she was in high school crying, top student. I said, what are you crying about? I picked her up one day from school because me and my AP picked her up because she didn't have a ride home from school and she was in the car crying. So what are you crying about? You're a student. She said, because I want to apply to Cornell. And one of the counselors at the school told me that's a reach school. Why would you take up a spot from somebody else, apply for something you know you can get into? I said, Destiny, apply to that damn school. All they can tell you is no. Apply to them. Tell them about your heart, why you want to go in there. Tell them you're a national champion chess player. You a multi-year distinguished honor student. How you are serving in the community. How you are tutoring other students. Tell them you out the mud. I said, tell them all of that and then live with their response. She sent me a picture and my AP got mad because she said, you know, I helped Destiny more than you. And she sent you the picture before she sent it to me. She sent me a picture holding up her acceptance letter from Cornell. I said, dang.
Beautiful though. Yeah.
She said, and full scholarship. She said, I don't know nothing about Ithaca, New York, but I'm going up for the visit. You know, and then, you know, family didn't have the transportation, so we had to help them. You know, we had to help them get on the Greyhound and the bus. They had to come up to New York, switch buses over Port Authority and all that. And I only knew about that because my mother from New York City. But the idea is there are people who are literally telling children, and this not 30 years ago, brother. This is real time.
Wow. Don't
apply there. Let somebody else apply that's gonna make it. I said, no, boo, that's not how we do it. Tell them you are, and I write in the book, a rose that grew from concrete. Now I stole that from Tupac and somebody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He stole it from somebody else.
Yeah,
but
right.
But the idea is that's what they are. And so when you're trying to tap into, then I start giving them examples. I start with my own story. And I say, you know, you got a little L sitting in there. You got a little Kafele because you tell your story, how you went to multiple schools, how you multiple colleges, and how you didn't like school, but eventually the light came on.
Yeah.
And you could be that one for them. You know, and I talk in the book about having a young teacher. He was a first, second grade teacher, couldn't control the class, and he cared about the children. I saw that, but he just didn't have the fire. And I had to counsel the brother, and I had to say, brother, listen, I had to say, just listen, this not the work for you. I don't want to put you out of a job. Let's talk about what you really want to do. And he talked about how he had a background in therapy and counseling, and went on to become a therapeutic counselor. But I had to talk him out of teaching. And his wife wrote a letter to the school one day, and the secretary said, "You want to open it? You want me to open it?" I said, "I know she probably mad that I talked me out of a job." We opened the letter. And the lady said, I want to thank you for telling him something that he needed to tell himself, that he had worked for principals for years and none of them told him that worked. I mean, he had first and second graders throwing pencils. And, you know, our teachers had eyes in the back of their head. So at least they made us think that. So I knew that, you know, you got to find a way to let those young people know you throw something at me, I'm going to find out who you are. I'm going to give out butterscotch crimpets to somebody to let me know who it is. But I sensed that it wasn't the work for him. His heart wasn't in it. But let me help you find where your heart work is. Now, our principals have their hands tied in many places. It's very hard to do that. That's why I had to talk him into making that decision. You know, because it's very hard in many districts to get rid of somebody. But we have to get those folks to understand that you are in charge of some young people that are. I tell them this often. They're going to be working in that senior citizen center when you're in there. They're going to be working when you go in there and need a blood transfusion. These young people in your classroom, they're going to be there.
Be in there, yeah.
So you got a chance to train them right now to prepare them. But I'm gonna be quite honest with you, brother. There's some I had to say. If you can't hack it, get your jacket. You know, because they would tell you, I had one or two tell me, I don't get paid to care. I get paid to teach. And I said, wow, you know what? I'm glad I didn't have you as a teacher because I wouldn't be a principal right now.
Yeah.
And that, now we want to lift them up, build them up. We want to give them all the professional development, the personalized learning, everything we can. And also, let's get them some mentors. Let's get them to go and watch some people who still have that fire. Because again, some of them think they're tired, but they're uninspired. They need to be inspired by some of these other educators.
Yeah.
Let them see how important their work is. But I'm telling you, new principals and you APs that are out there, and even some of you veterans, we have to become, so you see my sister, the boss educate said, we got to have these honest conversations.
That's right.
The research is out there, brother. As leaders, when we have conversations with our teachers about their performance, the conversation is much different when we're speaking to other leaders.
Yeah.
We have to begin that. We got to, as my man TJ and Joe say, we got to get out of that circle of nice. And we got to start talking to folks about how they have to change to make an impact and be comfortable with those uncomfortable conversations. And that's one of the biggest challenges for not just new leaders, experienced leaders, is being able to have those conversations with folks. And we need to start trying to help change them around, help train them around that, because it helps sustain you in your leadership. Is being able to say to folks, listen, that's not the way we do it here. That's not, if you care about that child, you can't say that. You can't do that. Let me show you, or let someone else show you the right way to be able to do that. And that's that courageous leadership I told folks we were going to be talking about today on your live stream. Being courageous, getting out of that comfort zone and into your learning zone, which is close to the frustration zone. But we got to get you there, because you need to be able to say to folks that I need you to be able to tap into the uniqueness, the character, the gifts of these children so they can go to the next level.
Woo! Powerful stuff. Hey, fam out there, y'all getting all this? We throwing a lot at you. I told you last week, I said, those of you who when I signed off last week, I say it again. I said, I'm just going to sit back. I hope you're taking it all in. Let's go to that next one, Principal L. Curious about their lives outside of school. What are you saying to us?
Well, again, that's learning about those young people out there, learning about their lives, their communities, where they're coming from, and I'm going to tell you where this became very important for educators during the pandemic. Mm-hmm. You had young people locked into their homes, locked in. So all those meals we had been providing in school, they didn't have access to that anymore. That's right. So we had educators who said, as a matter of fact, we had to send home devices for young people during the pandemic for them to, get online for that remote learning. I was sending one device, 2 devices. You got 3 kids, I'm gonna send you 3 devices. I had a couple teachers come to me one day and they said, Principal, there's one house, there's about 3 families living in there. You only send enough for one family. I loaded some laptops in the backpack. They wouldn't drop because they knew I didn't know. They came and let me know because they knew. They had been curious about those families, talked to them, told them during that pandemic, let me know where you moved to. We had young people that didn't have electricity, or they were living in hotels. In many of these shelters, they use these old hotels, and they didn't have the Wi-Fi to support them. Right. So we started going out with portable Wi-Fi devices. The teacher would tell me they saw young people sitting outside the community center trying to get on Zoom for their lessons because they didn't have the Wi-Fi where they were needed. If you don't know about these young people, if you're not curious about their lives outside of school, you're not going to be able to serve them and support them. The teachers talked about how they had been delivering pizzas to families on Fridays who they know kids on Fridays, they would pack a bag for the weekend for these young people. When they weren't in school, they couldn't pack that bag. So on Fridays, they would have food delivered, to these families. Wow. Now, I had a teacher in Texas say that a couple years ago, they had these huge floods in Texas. And they had some students called the teacher. Number one, got the teacher's number. Called the teacher and said, listen, water's up to the first floor. We're on the second floor. We need to get out of here. Teacher said my assistant superintendent owned the boat. So I called, said, listen, can you send your boat over there and get the family? Yeah, I'm gonna send the boat. He said, send his boat over there. And the children said, we can't leave because my mom didn't come home yet. So we're gonna stay here. He said, the boat is here. We can't leave, we staying. So he left. Kids called back and said, listen, it's up to the second floor now. We on the roof. We're leaving. She called the assistant suit back and said, can you send the boat? He said, I'm not sending that boat back. I sent it. She said, you gonna send that boat back over there and pick them kids up. My man said he sent that boat to the, because you know what she said? I'm crazy about these kids and I'm gonna risk my job. You know, we've been there.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna tell you that these kids aren't gonna make it if we don't send that boat to get. Now, you know, that may not be familiar to us being in, you know, Jersey City and East Orange and Philly, you know, and different places, Newark and Harrisburg and Pittsburgh. But in Texas, that's a reality.
Yeah.
He sent that boat back to pick those children up, and they never let her forget what she did for those young people. When you're curious about them, when you're crazy about them, you will put your own job and life on the line for those young people.
For those
Thankful for them. You know?
I love this, man. Crazy about kids, curious about their lives outside of school. Number 3 of the 4, consistent adults in student lives as opposed to inconsistent. What are you saying to us?
You listen, 85% of success is showing up, being there for those young people. You know, I tell people all the time, these young people are watching us. That consistency gives them a sense of safety. Their home lives are so inconsistent. The only place for many of them where they see consistency is in the school, especially consistent males. They don't care who you are, what you look like. They just want to know, are you going to be here tomorrow? And I tell teachers and principals all the time when I go out and speak, and I say, listen, I go into schools. I'm in different schools all the time trying to support teachers, trying to support administrators. I want to know, do these children really feel that consistency? They don't care what you look like. They just want to, and here's what I tell them. You don't think they're watching you? Take a day off from work. You got young people will never say good morning to you in school, and you come in the next day, if you take off, they be like, where were you yesterday? They want it because I see you every day. When I see you, I know I'm good. I can't say anything to you because it's not cool for me to do that. But I want you to know that I appreciate that consistent, you being there, and not just on those good days, on the bad days. I had a teacher in Tennessee tell me one time that she got nominated for an award, and she wanted to know who was the staff member who nominated her. They said it wasn't a staff member, it was a former student. And they said, when you win the award, we're going to read the letter to you. And they read the letter, and this young man said, I was in this lady's class. And I was in class, I fallen asleep. And she kept getting on me, and I told her, just send me to the office. She said, I'm not sending you to the office. I'll meet with you after class. We're going to talk after class. I see people talking about stability. It's important, that consistency. That's that stability, predictability, safety, security, all the things we know they need. This teacher said, I'm not sending you. He said, send me to the office. So I'm not sending you. I want to meet with you after class. After class, she sat there and she talked to the kid. The teacher said that teacher talked to me and wanted to know what was going on. And the young man said, what she didn't know was I was planning to go home and commit suicide. And I needed her to send me home. And she refused to send me home. And the lady saved my life that day. And so because of that, in my eyes, she's the teacher of the year. And they said she broke down when they read that letter, man. She remembered that she never knew until that day. That was the reason that kid wanted to go home. But he said, I knew when you send me to the office, he said, I knew the office was going to send me home. That's all they do. He said, but she wouldn't send me to the office. She said, we're going to talk after class. And that connection, that love, that curiosity, that crazy about children, that consistently being there for them, no matter what, saved that child's life.
Saved his life.
And we never know when that one conversation, that one visit, going to that one game, going to that one, I had one of my own teachers tell me that, the young man was a ballet dancer, but he didn't want the kids in school to know. And so she went to one of his recitals and said, don't tell nobody they're going to tease me. And she kept the word. And this is why, that trust is important, because young people, they tell us things and some people go out and share it anyway.
Yeah.
And once they lose that trust, it makes it hard for that child to even trust you and me. She never shared it. And then one day that student told the class, yo, I'm a ballet dancer. And the kids were like, yo, they were proud. And then they started telling him, oh, you didn't know Tupac was in ballet? You didn't know. They started educating. He didn't even know that. The ballet is in our community, our culture. We have dancers. You don't know about Alvin Ailey? And so, but going out to visit that student and see that recital gave him the courage to come back to school and face those bullies. Whoever wanted to try to bully him, nah. But they didn't do that. They flipped the script and said, "Oh no, you ain't the only one. We know about this." So powerful opportunity for us to be consistent in their lives and also showing up for them, but making sure that they know we'll be there. Just like those students that invite us to graduations, they do it. We hear from them. I don't want you to come. I just want you to know I made it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. We got one more to the 4 C's: culture of love, support, and high expectations. I know you talked about it, you wove it into the others, but what more could you say about that?
Well, and that's all about really creating that culture of belonging, because I think, what I say is we need to create these hubs in our schools where students are heard, understood, and belong. HUB. That too many young people are walking around our schools and nobody knows. I had a young man, he saw me in the airport one day. He said, "You probably don't even know I am principal because I was never in trouble in school. But I remember you." Because we remember those students that don't do well to get in trouble. But we need to recognize those students who do well. And I told him, I said, "Man, I know your whole family." We started talking about his cousins and brothers, and he said, you almost look the same. He said, "But I just was sitting across the airport and said to my wife, I think that's Mr. L from Vox," but they were scared to come say something to me. You've been there, you see people at airports, young people.
That's right.
And I just thought about, wow, the power of that statement, that you probably don't know who I am because I never got in trouble.
Yeah. That
we've got to find a way to make sure that we're elevating and celebrating, or that no child feels like they're not seen. That they're all unique and talented. It should be celebrated. It should be validated, in our schools. But that culture, and really it's about those high expectations, but really those joyful environments and engaging. I think students in every school culture should experience rigor and joy every day. They should be challenged. And I don't have to be mean. I don't mean rigor that way.
Right.
I mean, we need to challenge them. Make them think. I go in classrooms often, and I'll say to teachers, I'm not impressed when every student knows every answer. I want to see somebody struggle. I want to see a young person say, "I got to get back to you on that. Yeah. Let me research that, or let me go talk to another teacher. Let me get back to you, because now I know you're pushing their thinking. You're raising your level of questioning."
Yeah.
Brother Taylor said, JT says, see each child, right? See every one of them. Powerful. That's what I'm saying. I learned a lot. These folks that are on these live streams with you are people that teach me, that I learned. Matter of fact, let me tell you about JT real quick, 5 seconds.
And by the way, he's coming on soon. But go ahead.
Is he? Yeah. Well, let me give him some flowers, because one year I was at the ASCD conference and I was cutting my own hair because it was a long trip. And I said, "Man, I don't miss a few spots." I said, "JT, can you come touch me up?" Man,
really?
Came right to my room, touch me up. I was looking good that day, brother. But see, that's what, that's the brotherhood. We talk about this, just that nod when you see another brother, just that nod saying, "Yo, I got you. You need something? I got you."
Don't even get me started on the nod, man. Don't get me, because I mean, you probably heard me before, and I know a lot of people on here, but don't get me started, man. I preached the whole sermon about a few weeks ago about that. Like, don't come on, brother. Don't walk past me, man, and you see me right here, and you're gonna lock your face this way so that you can pretend you don't see me. Why can't we just nod at each other? Boom.
Man,
Boom.
you know,
now we done.
We've been in some airports, man, where it might only be 1 or 2 people look like us in some of these.
Yeah.
And you there, I'm here, and we lock eyes. You can't even acknowledge me. Listen, we speak in some rooms.
Yeah.
We the only one in this one. Like
that one sitting there gonna be the first one to run out the back door because he don't want to be associated with me. Hey, brother, hey, sister, they invited me. I'm safe.
Right.
You know,
right.
it's not like I bum rushed myself in there and gave a speech. They invited me. So like I have expectation, man. This you shouldn't have said nothing. Now I'm gonna get on my soapbox.
I'm sorry.
I have expectation that if it's me, I'm black, and there's 2 of y'all in this room, and it's 998 others in that room, and you ain't gonna come up and say, "What's up?" Like, hi, even if you didn't, if you didn't get anything out of me, can't we shake hands? Can't we dap it up or something? You gone. All the other people, the white people, everybody else, they taking pictures with me, and you jetted. Man, let me tell you, I'm gonna hit my desk on this one. That hurts. It hurts.
And for all those
hurts, I hate it.
Out there, and for all the folks out there that are in those audiences, in those airports, you know, all our allies, you invited us. So we know you embraced us. We know you love and support our message and what we do. So I'm not criticizing the rooms we're in. What I'm saying, and I'm gonna ask you this question, I'm gonna turn it around on you.
Yeah.
What would your mother have said to you if she knew that you did that you were in a room with somebody and you were the only one and you didn't at least go up and say, "Hey, I'm here for you. I got you." What would your mother have said?
Yeah. No, she probably questioned that because it's
big time.
It's foul. It happened to me this week. It's I ain't gonna say where, but I'm like, it was all these people, and then they had this black administrator sitting on the front row, and I knew we were going to at least say hi to each other.
Right.
Never looked at me. I said, man, right? Because see, for me, I don't feel it's my place to initiate that. Right. I feel it as the guest in the room.
I'm a guest.
Like come up and, hey, Principal Kafele,
welcome.
Glad to see you.
Bienvenido.
But to deliberately not establish eye contact with me, that tells me that slave syndrome that we've been dealing with, it ain't going nowhere. It's post slavery traumatic syndrome. It's still there, right? Post traumatic slave syndrome. I mean,
it's almost like they saying, "This my house. You in my take this my house. I made it in the house. You shouldn't be in here. So I'm not going to acknowledge you because I don't want you to stay."
Yep. But I'm gonna tell you something. I would have never said this without the prompt, but I got the prompt now, not intentionally from you, but if that principal is on here watching right now, I'm not going to say where it was. You know where it was. If you're on here now, you see this video, I'm gonna tell you, I left out of that place that day hurt. If the other people who are the organizers are there and you see it, I'm not going to name your district, but I just want you to know I walked out of there a little hurt. I said, man, that room was all white. And that black woman was sitting in the front. And I just thought that she would have come up and said, "Hello, Principal Kafele." We ain't got to have a whole conversation, but to just not even look my way and just walk out of the room and go on back to your school, it hurt. It really did. It hurt as a black man. Right. If I was a generic man, then it means nothing. But I wear my blackness on my sleeve, just like these shirts I wear every Saturday. Chicago American Giants, Negro League is a t-shirt and the matching hat. Right. I wear my culture on my sleeve. So when I go into a place, it wasn't Fort Myers. You got that right. No, it wasn't Fort Myers.
You know that right away. Listen, I know because I saw the pictures from Fort Myers. I'm trying to let you get out of there. But I just want to say this real quick, brother. Also, it's for the folks out there that are wondering, well, what if somebody was scared to come? What I understand that, but what I want you to be, if you're that person, I want you to realize, get over that fear. Because we have that same emotion And what you're reaching out to us helps us. We're in your home. You ain't never coming in my home and getting out that door before I come to you, shake your hand. Don't work, just nothing else. And then if you can't do that, give the nonverbal prompt that says, hey, yo, I got, there's a way for us. We have a coded language we can speak non-verbally.
Yeah.
We can say, hey, amen, I got you, support you.
That's
you know what I mean? But when you just know communication, and this happens, more than once or twice, and nothing. I can speak on behalf of Principal Kefele right now on this. We hurt too.
Yeah.
We hurt too, because often I text him and I'll say, yo, bro, how do you deal with this situation? How you get over this? I just went through this, in this city. How you? And he tells me, say, listen, man, it happens to me too, brother. And I stay on my message. I do what I got to do. The folks brought me there because they wanted people to hear my message. I keep moving, but we hurt. So folks, when you see us in the airport, when you see us in the audience, when you see us on the street, let's let us know, yo, you right here, you good, because I'm here.
Yep.
I'm going to do the same thing for you.
It's real simple. It looks like this, y'all. That's it.
That's it.
The head nod speaks volumes. That's all it takes, right? Or if it's women and the head nod wouldn't be appropriate, just the eye contact with a smile, that speaks volumes. It ain't you coming on to me. It ain't me coming on to you. It's just to say, I see you. That's all. That's all it is. Right?
The Lord, you inspire me too.
That's my mother. That's my mother.
I was about to say I'm about to bring you out of retirement, but I'm gonna let you go. If you had to raise this brother right here, I'm gonna let you stay in retirement.
Yeah, my mom 90, man. She has a
hey, mom, well, I appreciate that, getting some love from mom, huh? And she just had a birthday, right?
No, she's December.
Oh, December coming up. Okay, coming up.
Yeah, be 91 in December.
My brother's born December 20. My brother fighting cancer now. My older brother. He's December 21st is his birthday, man.
Yeah, God continue. God bless him.
Yeah, he's fighting hard, strong, man, hanging in there.
Hey, let's wrap it up.
Okay.
Y'all said, all right, get back on message now. Listen,
I'm sorry. I deviated, brother. I got off course.
Because we got so much in common, man. That's I got two more for you. Sort of a two is almost a three-parter, but I'm gonna, let's go. Some schools have already returned. Mm-hmm. Others are returning each week. A whole wave will go in this Monday, a whole wave the next Monday, all the way until after Labor Day. For a whole waves of children will be going back. But there are a lot of schools that will be reopening with brand spanking new first-year principals, right? All over America. I got a three-parter for you. You can give me the short version since we already at 1:18 Eastern time.
We like 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
But know what, man? It feel like we just sat down.
No, it's good. I ain't complaining, man. I feel the same way. Yeah. What is your back to school message for that first year principal? Never did it before. Maybe it was an AP, but never led a school as the principal. That person's probably on this call now, or we'll see the video later. What's your back to school message for that leader?
My back to school message for that person is, number one, you sure you want to do this? Number one, before you get started, are you sure you want to do it? Because once you get rolling, it's hard to stop. So the first thing I'm going to say to them is something you started off with, is I want you to focus on building those relationships immediately. How does that start? Be visible. Start your I see Sister Erica Gunner out there said first year. She just probably about a week ago just got her first job, man.
You know her. Okay.
Yeah, she said, you her mentor. She's on it. She learned her craft, got that job through the academy. But she's a Delaware person. She's gonna be she was an assistant principal, she's becoming principal in the same preschool program where she was an AP. So first year principal. This is what I'm saying to you right now, sis. And you know this because you've been in the work. Start those relationships, be visible. And when I say be visible, I mean be in those classrooms. Don't let folks inundate you with that work where they're pulling you into that office. Get in those classrooms and let those children and teachers know I'm interested in the work you do every day, because my most important job is to help you improve your practice. I can't do that if I'm not there with you. And that's something, brother, you talk about often, right? How does my presence make you better as a teacher, as a student, as a leader, right? Be approachable, and then I want you to start building trust immediately. Folks go in, want to change everything, go in, listen. So I want you to build those relationships, and then I want you to focus on communication. Your listening is the communication. So if you're going to build trust that builds relationships, you got to be a listener. You got to be approachable. You got to be willing to learn and listen to folks, right? And then the way you build trust is you got to follow up with folks. People, and sometimes you get busy and you might say, keep a pen and a pad with you, writing it down, or telling your AP, put that down. People will love you when you come back. Because I'm 60 years old, bro. So I'm getting old. Folks say, listen, Principal, I needed a new chair. I needed this, I had that. And I tell them I'm gonna get on it, whatever. I might not remember till the next day or 2 days, but I'll go up there rolling that chair in there, and they'll be like, you remembered. When you do that, they say, wow, you really listen. Yeah. And I say, yeah, I told you to text me, remind me you didn't send me the text. I might have been there sooner, but it shows them that you listen, you care, and that's how you build that trust with them.
Love it.
When I think finally what I tell them they need to do, right? Because number one, that trust also comes what we talked about. You started off this also. Get to know your team. Get to know your staff. Do you really know who they are? Because then when you start planning your celebrations, because you got to get beyond the baby shower and the wedding celebration. You got to start celebrating folks for some of their accomplishments. Somebody just got their master's or their doctorate. Somebody just won the milk in the water. Somebody did that. You got to celebrate them. Because when you celebrate them, then they say, oh, I'm a part of a family. When people start trying to steal your folks, they ain't going nowhere, because I get lifted up, or I get lifted up on a daily basis. And then I want folks to start thinking about, what is your strategic plan for your school? What is that plan? And then work with your team to take that plan, take that vision, and create a strategic plan from it. And then once you create that, find out what the needs are in the building. That's why that listening is important. I'll say it again. Listening is healing for some people. Be a listener, and then develop your action plan. How are we really going to go in and effect change and make things happen for people if we don't know what it is we want to do? And that's why I'm proud of Dr. Ford down there in Virginia at Heritage High School. And some of his team members are right here on it. He said they would be on here today. They were spending the summer working on their strategic plan to be able to impact those young people on the first day of school, impact the teachers on the first day of school. What's your vision? And then I want you to think about lifting others. LIFT. Be a leader. Show your leadership. We have many leaders in this world. We don't have enough leadership, as you see in Washington, D.C. Everybody in the position of leader is not a leadership. They're not performing leadership, right? Then that inspiration. Folks need to be inspired. You need to share your story, share the work. How did you get to where you are? Some people think you just came here because you knew somebody. Let them know about the struggles. Let them know about the people that cussed you out and fussed you out, and the folks you had to fight for, the battles you fought to get where you are. I earned this position, and I earned the right to be here, and I want to support you. I want you to be focused. I want you to stay on mission, stay on your vision, stay true to the children. And then that T and lift is developing that trust, right? Making sure that you are keeping your word. And then when you don't know, it's okay to say to folks, listen, I don't have that answer right now. Let me go. And that's when you go to your network. That's when you come on here on Saturday and say, yeah, I got it. Well, that's when you reach out to one of us and say, I need some help. But nobody's going to think you can't do your job because you wanted to get help. And the folks who struggle, who burn out, we talked about this today, are the ones who do it alone, who live in that lonely world, that lonely office. No, you are part of a bigger community. the AP and New Principals Academy. Triple digits on the years.
Yeah.
Don't miss a Saturday. Didn't miss a Saturday. Right? The knowledge is here. It's here for you. Tap into it. Stay connected. And just remember that leadership is about service. If you don't serve, you can't lead.
And you know, I never said this to anybody, but I'll say it now when in the context of what you just said about the consistency with the 276 sessions.
Wow.
One of them weeks I was sitting here with COVID, right? I had COVID twice, right? So one of them weeks, but I didn't tell anybody I had it. I didn't travel, but I didn't want clients to think I had it. I didn't travel till I tested negative again. But I literally sat here and did a whole session while I had COVID.
I was on the phone. I remember because.
But that was my first. No, the second time because it was more recent.
Oh, okay. No, that was no.
The first time. That was when you know that was before I started.
You were down bad. I was worried about.
I was down for 14 days. That was the first time when there was no vaccines and all that. But the second time was like 2025. Right.
Yeah.
And I didn't tell anybody. And
I remember because that was when I went to South Carolina.
Well, there it is. So I had to cancel stuff. Yeah, so I canceled that engagement, gave it to you, and I canceled another one, and because I hadn't tested positive, negative yet. So, but I had done the Saturday Academy, and I said I ain't letting COVID ain't stopping this. No. They can't catch COVID through my camera, so we good, right?
just let me put that out there so y'all know how powerful this brother is. You know, folks call me and say, "Listen, we couldn't get Cafelli. Can you come?" Right? I'm the default, right? They say we couldn't get the brother. Can you come? But you know what? I tell them, man, I'm honored. Or they'll say, Principal Cafelli told us to call you, and I tell them I'm honored. And they say, if that brother stamps you, then we know you're real. So I want to thank you, but I also want to thank those folks out there as well that reach out to me. You know, when they can't get you, they say, "Listen, let me see if we can get Principal L." I'm glad you recovered. You got better, you got back out there. But again, I love the consistency of those 200+ weeks being here, ready for people. Because remember, I said you got to be a learner. They can't learn if we ain't out here teaching.
That's right.
So that you got to be here and lean on the academy, folks. Listen, you got a roster of folks that got jobs and will publicly say it.
Yeah,
because of what I learned on the academy or from your videos, whatever, brother. So I appreciate it, proud of it, and glad to be a part of the journey.
Appreciate you. Hey, folks, it's 1:28 Eastern time. Let me squeeze in these last two. Stay with me. We talked about that first year principal L, but there's another special category, that second year principal, right? So now this first year could have been very good. It could have been, oh my God, I don't know if this is for me, but you got through it. But now it's your second year. This is a reset. It could be significantly better than that first year, right? What is your message to a second year principal?
That second year is that you had your first year, right? You're learning your folks. You understand it. Now you want to start thinking about what are some changes that I can make, because inevitably you're gonna have those changes. You're gonna see things that need to be changed. Maybe folks are just moving around in positions. Maybe you're looking at curriculum. Also, you want to start thinking about your outside partners. Your community, engaging with the community. I talked earlier about I wanted a big focus on literacy, in my second year of my school. And I reached out to Brother Patrick Oliver. He's big focus on literacy, especially for males. SpeakLoudly.com. And he came into the school because I wanted to start now introducing my staff and students to other voices. I started playing your videos, letting people see and hear this is the change that's coming. Change is coming, and change is painful, but it's not bad. And then I think also what we need to do is start looking at now, how do I begin to improve my skills? How do I get better? Because now you're starting to see, I got some talented teachers in this room. I think that was one of the things that was intimidating for me as a new principal. Number one, many of the folks were older than me, number one, right? And you know that. And also, some of them were talented. And I'm like, man, how am I this person teaching? I was never on that level. So then I had to go back in the dugout, right, and say, I'll see Brother Rich Torres there was there yesterday in Minnesota. I want to thank you, brother. He his mother actually taught at my school the first year back in 2000.
Oh, wow.
I'm there speaking in Minnesota. He's an AP in Minnesota. I only know because his mother posted on social media that my son is an AP. He's presenting in Minnesota. My staff said, ain't you in Minnesota? I said, yeah. They said, listen, her son's speaking at the same conference where you are.
Wow.
So I said, brother, stand up. When I started speaking, I said, stand up, AP. All the APs, I want y'all to stand up. And I said, let me tell you about your legacy. I have teachers texting me and telling me that they only stayed because she supported them.
Wow.
And now, you know what I mean? That's why folks will never know about that influence.
Influence.
They don't know about that. So that's why, you got to reach
immortality of influence.
You remember, that was my second book, brother.
I know. That's why I said it.
20 years. And then Will Smith wrote the foreword in that book. And I remember my publishers, and Will took forever with the foreword because at the time, he had a TV show he was producing, I think, called All of Us or something like that, right? And Will said, I said, Will, just I'll have somebody write the foreword. Send it. Will said, man, I'm reading this book. I'm taking my time and I'm writing my own damn foreword. So I had to call the publisher. I said, listen, my man said, tell him to hold up 2 weeks. And because when I called, I thought I was calling his office. He answered the phone. I said, Will, I didn't mean to bother you. He said, man, I gave you my cell phone number.
Oh, wow.
I called the publisher. I said, y'all gonna have to wait 2 more weeks, man. This man said he's reading the book and he wants to write his own foreword. And he wrote that forward. And that book really, it's a follow-up to I Choose to Stay, really about they were, young and in school then, but now they're in law school, they're in grad school, doing great things. But it was all about the influence. And so you second-year leader out there, you are influencing a whole new generation, but you also have experienced leaders out there who influence you. Find you a mentor. Tap into your network, get on the academy, get on social media. Principal Caffelli will tell you, we're connected with these leaders out here, Todd Whitaker, Jimmy Casas, a whole bunch of them out here, on X, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on YouTube, everywhere. We're connected. We're always learning so we can come back and help others. Tap into that professional development that's out there, because that's the innovative leader now, brother. You talk about innovation in the world we live in. The innovative leader is not just the one putting smart boards on every wall. The innovative leader now is the one that realizes that equity is at the core. Like you say, don't just do equity, be equity. Be equity focused, but also make sure you're a learner and you're connecting with others out there in the world.
Love it. Love it. I got one more and then I'm done. I would be remiss if I didn't ask you. You are a fitness buff. You post pictures in your home gym.
Yes, sir.
And you stress the importance of exercise, not only the cardio, but also the muscle, right? The lifting, which I don't do, but I need to do, and I will at some point. Talk to the fam out there about the importance of their physical health, their physical fitness, despite the fact that they're working hours upon hours throughout the course of a school year.
Right. And, and as we get older, brother, they say we lose 5 to 10% of our muscle mass every year as we get older. As a matter of fact, I had a young lady sent me a message this morning on Facebook, was at the event in Minnesota, Dr. Alejandra Burt, Strata Burt, principal out there. And she said, I want to thank you for coming out here to our Voices That Lead conference. She said, but I also want to thank you for being an inspiration on the fitness journey. Because I'm in a stressful job, and that's very important. And what I tell people is the exercise doesn't make the job less stressful. What the exercise does for you is it gives you the ability to manage the stress, to get through the stress, the healthy eating. And that's why, I talk about Brother Patrick Oliver a lot, but he's a big push for And I'd love to try to see if I can talk about getting him on the show one day. A real big push for healthy eating for young people. When he saw my young people, because I have a salad bar in my lunchroom, and I want young people, I want that to be an option and choice for them. I just got to fight with them to pour so much salad dressing on the salad.
Yeah.
But he reached out to some folks in the community in Dallas. A brother has a operating to try to prevent food deserts. He got a sister doing some STEM, in Atlanta. He reached out to them to try to, and got on Zoom with my young people to talk to them about the importance of healthy eating and getting out there in the world. But what I want my educators out there to understand is that this job is literally sending people to the hospital to their graves. This job, listen, I wrote this book because 4 years ago, I was sitting in the hospital having an appendectomy, and doctors and nurses taking care of me. And I said, they are meeting all my needs. My students need. This is what students need. The problem is these doctors and nurses, they close the curtain. They take care of each patient by themselves. These educators got to take care of 24, 30, 35 at one time in front of everybody else. So this job is stressful. We got to start finding ways. And that's why, and I don't post those pictures or those messages because I want people's approval. I post them because I just want one person. If just one says, I'm going to walk today. I'm going to lift a weight today. I'm going to try to drink some water. Then I've inspired somebody, because we need to keep those people around. And I try my best. It's not easy, but I know that this work will wear you out. It will wear you out. And so we have to become one with ourselves and say, this body is a temple through which we serve God, through which we serve other people. We got to take care of that. And I see you when you posting your cardio. Sometimes I see you and I said, man, that brother's older than me. If he out there on that treadmill, let me get on it. Because some days like, man, I can't do it. And then I see you, I said, man, let me go ahead and get it done. Because, brother, it's the only way we're going to stay around. You had your own health issues in the past.
That heart attack.
Yeah, you know what it is. So we've got to, now you and I will never battle Arnold Schwarzenegger. You never beat Lee Haney. But what we can do is we can be models and examples for folks to understand that we've got to be better to ourselves, because it's through this temple that we serve out. The only way you're able to get on here every Saturday morning is because you take that time to take care of yourself so you can be here. So I want to just encourage all you folks out there. My man Patrick is vegan, vegetarian, eating right. There's a lot of vegetarians out there, but there are a lot of folks out there. You see, they have a whole Fit Leaders hashtag. They're running because they're very, very focused on feeling. Sister Jamie has said, I feel much better after lifting some weights. There's research and science behind that said those endorphins after lifting and exercising, whether it's cardio or weights, they lift you up. They have you. That's why doing it early in the day, it helps you get through the day. Trust me. And if folks can reach out to me if they want to, social media, I can send you some information on how you can get started. Some things you can do, on a small level. I'm willing to do that. Also, you know what I want to do too for your listeners, brother? If there are a few people out there that reach out to me on social media, and they can name 2 of the 3 states that my mother lived in, I'm going to send them an autographed copy of one of my books. They got to name 2. And I mentioned 2 of them today, and they know which one I grew up in, so they really know all 3. But if they can tell me 2 of the states that my mother lived in her life, I'm going to send them a signed copy of one of my books. Meet their needs if they'll succeed. I choose the state of immortality, passionate leadership, building a winning team, retention for a change, which is about retaining leaders and teachers. I'm gonna send you an autographed copy, but you got to tell me 2 of the cities that Sister Amina Hotep, that my mother, her name was Doris Thomas, changed her name to Sister Amina Hotep, right? Mother of the faithful, And so, so yes, definitely, brother. It's an honor and a pleasure, to be here. I appreciate you sharing your platform with me. These folks come here to hear from you. So if a byproduct of that is for them to hear just a little bit from me, from Brother L, who walked on ice and never fail and spend my time in plush hotels and some Motel 6s as well. I'm thankful for you, brother, and I appreciate all that you poured into the thousands of leaders who are out there because of your influence and those disciples that are making it. I see him even in the chat saying, "I got my job because of the academy. I did this because of the academy." Yeah,
it's a real blessing. But let me holler at the fam real quick. Fam, as always, let me first applaud you. Phenomenal job. But fam, if today's session, if it resonated with you, if it was good to you, if it was useful, if it was beneficial, if you heard nuggets, if you heard things that you can incorporate or infuse into your work, your practice, your leadership, then give us your favorite emojis. That is how we applaud our guests. I know you've already started, but now that you've heard it formally from me, let them know. You know, if this was a good one, let them know. Give us your favorite emojis and just keep them coming. Keep them coming. And while they're doing that, and we got a lot coming. I see all 4 platforms, man. They in here. And while they're doing that, Principal L, let me first say once again, everybody, meet their needs and they'll succeed. It's available. You can go to Amazon like right now and get your copy. You can go to ascd.org. You can get them from your website too, right? I guess it'll link you to
PrincipalL.com. Yes, sir.
PrincipalL.com. But you want to get your copy. It's new. It's hot. It's hot off the presses. So get your copy. But other than that, Principal L, tell them how they reach out to you, how they follow you, how they invite you to come out and keynote or do seminars or whatever is within your arsenal. What do they do?
They can I'm on Facebook, I'm on LinkedIn, at Principal L, at Dr. Principal L on Instagram. I'm on Twitter, X. Reach out to me. My website's principal.com. And I was at the ASCD conference. Young lady came out. I was in California this week because a young lady asked me to sign 4 books. I said, "Ma'am, I appreciate the support. The 4 books is a lot, And she said, "Brother, we already bought 900. I needed 4 more." I said, "Where you at?" She said, "I'm in California." I said, "I'm gonna be out there. I'm gonna come visit." I didn't realize how big California was. They were an hour and a half in the LA area, same area, an hour and a half from where I was. Yeah. But I already made the commitment. Told them I was gonna come and sign every book.
All 900.
I went out there. Now, luckily for me, some of the teachers didn't bring their books, which was good. But I gave them my word and went out there, and that young lady simply found the book. They said the title just spoke to us online, Principal L. This is what we wanted. We're serving a high poverty, high needs population out here. The title spoke to us. We needed the book. They found it online. My brother, Dr. Ford, is using it for his staff, his team in Virginia, folks in Rhode Island, all over. They're using Meet Their Needs to really do book studies. And I'm going in to talk to folks about those 4 C's, about Rodney, Sean, and Dante, about Bones Highland, about Shania Higgins, who won that national chess tournament for us. She wasn't the best chess player. And the boys said, "Why are we bringing her? She's not even good." But we accidentally gave her permission slip. So we told her, "Come on anyway." She said, "I'm bringing my holy oil, Principal. I'm going to be fine." And that last round, when all my boys lost, she got a draw, had a half a point. We won the nationals by half a point, Principal Caffelli. That was God saying to us, y'all needed that young lady.
Yeah. So,
folks, reach out to me. I'm always out there. I want to thank you for all you do out your audience. And I want to thank you as well, brother. I'm proud to be a part of the AP and New Principals Academy family.
Yeah, well, I got a proposition for you that I'll throw at you offline. But I appreciate everything, man. Stay there while I close us out. To the fam out there, I appreciate you joining me and Principal L for week 276. We got week number 277 coming next week. I'm not going to announce my guest because I haven't talked to him in a very long time, and I sent him something yesterday, but I haven't heard back. So I want to make sure he remembers. So I'm not going to announce my guest. It might be somebody else, right? It'll be somebody for week number 277. But in the interim, you know, once again, fam, thanks for being here. You know, every time I see you all tuning in once we go live, a matter of fact, a lot of y'all tune in before I go live because we can see all the YouTube before we go live, because some of y'all start greeting me when I post the ad on Thursdays, and that's, you know, that's a blessing. You know, I don't.
Can I say a quick 5-second thank
you?
you?
Yeah. No, it's yours.
Real quick, I want to thank their people that are still on here, brother. We've been on here for hours.
Yeah,
still here. I want to thank them, but you know, I also want to thank, as I see folks that are not in the United States on here.
Yeah.
There are folks from Canada and other places that I recognize. I want to thank them for joining us, and they're here on a regular basis.
Yeah.
You got Canada folks. You got the folks that come from overseas, from the Caribbean, that come on here. I want to thank them as well for being a part of our family on a daily basis. And so I just wanted to put that out there. I wanted to thank folks for hanging in there with us, because we could be long-winded, right? But I want to thank y'all also, all communities, the international community, for being with us on this journey.
No, you know, with the one of the things, I wish they had it set up so everybody could see what I see. I see all 4 platforms in terms of the numbers. So right now in real time, there's still 505 people watching, right? In real time. Now, in terms of people who were in and out throughout the time we were on, it's several thousand, right? But in terms of real time right now in the moment, it's 505 people watching us, right? So yeah, a lot of people stayed on, man, and that's a beautiful thing.
And then they watch the replay too, right?
Yeah, well, the replay is the bigger numbers.
Yeah,
the live is the live, but the replay, that's really where the bulk of the numbers come from the people who can watch it when they can. But hey, folks, that guest, I'll let you know Thursday who the guest is. Hopefully, it's the person that's supposed to be coming on. I just want to make sure before I put his name out there. Hey, folks, hey, fam, next Saturday morning, Sean Hurt, 10 o'clock Eastern. These are all Eastern time. This is all Facebook, 10 o'clock. Sean Hurt, Create and Educate with Dr. Chika Houston, Dr. Tammy Taylor at 10:30. AP New Principals Academy with yours truly at 10:55. And then Sunday night, 5 o'clock Eastern time, Josh Tovar, Dr. Madi Moreno, and it's on the PGP podcast. Make sure you tune in. Someone else on here has a book. His name is Principal Kafele. So what is my value instructionally to the teachers I supervise? If you don't have a copy yet, get yourself a copy, right? So just, you know, when you go on and get L's book, just knock them both out, right?
There you go.
There you go. Get them both, right? And a lot of people do, because, you know, I'm a data guy, so I'm looking at various things. So on Amazon, I'll look at Principal L's book, and it'll show the other books that other people bought in addition to his book, and my books will show up there, and vice versa. So you know, a lot of people get our books together. So make sure you get that book. Subscribe to the AP and New Principals Academy. Hit the subscribe button. We are at 24,300 subscribers. That is a blessing.
Wow.
So yeah, keep it coming. 24,300. It's almost at 24,400. Maybe you hit it today. I didn't check yet. But make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you're informed when we go live. Visit principalkafele.com for additional resources that I have on the site, you know, just to keep you informed. And then lastly, your diet. Make sure you're eating right. Did I eat right this past week? Oh no. I missed dinner 3 days. That meant at about 3 o'clock, I got a bag of Lay's potato chips. I shouldn't be telling y'all that, but you know, that was all. Nothing else is open. I'm not going to McDonald's, right? So I'm not going to Burger King. So I just grabbed a little small bag of Lay's, and that at least put something in my stomach, and then I'll have a decent breakfast in the morning. But yeah, you know, when you're doing that kind of driving, you ain't got time to stop and eat, you know. So but still, your diet. I'm talking to you now, not me. The exercise. I'm going to watch this Giants game in a minute, and then once that game is over, I'm going to go outside and get my exercise, because I can't wait to see Travis Hunter tonight, and I can't wait to see Cam Ward tonight. The unfortunate thing is they're playing at the same time, right? So one game is 7, one is 7:30. Some of y'all are saying, I don't know who these people are you're naming. Don't worry about it. The football fans do.
Did I ever formally thank you for Saquon Barkley? And I don't know if I ever formally.
I know, right? Yeah. You
GMs, people don't realize some of them, that's leadership. Some of these folks, they in these leadership positions, don't know what they're doing.
Yeah. One of the best. Y'all got him, and he's still in his prime.
Yes, sir.
And your virus precautions, y'all. Make sure you're taking care of yourselves. I'm gonna start doing a little better because I'm gonna start rocking them masks back on them planes when we get to September. So thanks for being here. Have a great week. Have an extraordinary week. Have your best week yet. Peace.
God bless you. KDO, stay bendiga. Appreciate
go.
everybody out there.
Peace.
Peace, peace, peace.
Thumbs up. Cock that fist back all the way. Count to 3. 1, 2, 3. Bam! I'll see y'all next Saturday. Week number 277. Make sure you're taking care of yourself all week. Peace.